Hello, everyone. Wait, can you hear me? Yeah, alright. Hello, everyone. I'm Dren Hatamata, and this is the S&G podcast where we talk about various topics and move on from tangent to tangent. Just for shits and giggles. Oh, cat. Why now? Alright. So today is my birthday. I decided I was going to have a stream. I haven't done much as far as the S&G series because I'm terrified of talking to anyone about being on because no one's obligated me. However, if anyone wants to jump on, you can get in contact with me via DM or on Discord. And feel free to let me know and I can try and get you on. I got a short list of topics and I'm hoping I'll be able to go far enough with it. So, without further ado, might as well go ahead and talk about some upcoming plans I have. So, as some of you may have noticed, and some others probably haven't, I have not been making edited content. I've been only streaming about every Monday? Yeah, I'm streaming every Monday so far. Today being the outlier, and that was just to make sure that I was keeping some form of consistent content. Nope. Freak cat. Alright. But I do plan on trying to get back to regular content at some point after the summer, likely. Give or take in August. I'm going to try and start editing earlier than that. Most of my editing consists of short editing things for gameplay episodes, which I need to master record, and various things that take a lot more, such as any discussion videos, creepypasta videos take a little bit more, and then I've got Evil Overlord series that's going to be coming up, another episode in that, and I'm going to try and see if I can be a little more interactive. Alright. Showstar, yay! Grog Games, woo! Showstar again on what? Oh, get in contact for what? Oh, get in contact, if various people want to try and get in contact with me and let me know that they want to try and be on this podcast and talk about a various topic for a short bit, let me know. And if you have a topic you want me to talk about or anyone else to talk about, feel free to throw it in the chat. Grog Games and Talion's Gaming, happy B-Day. Thank you very much. Gooey Boy, hello! How's it going? Didn't expect to have a handful of people in the chat. Alright. One of the problems I have is I do an incredible amount of editing. If you've seen my most recent edited video, which was a couple of months or so ago, that showed you a little bit on how much I edit. When I made an episode for Sega Head for my shameless advertising, which is another thing I need to get back on, I probably edited for at least 20 hours worth. I was up at 4 in the morning and then having to wake up at 8:30 and then immediately editing till I go to work. So that was interesting, and that's kind of how I put the effort in. Because, like a lot of you guys, I'm sure you want to know that your effort shows. Gooey Boy, happy birthday. Thank you very much. Ugh. I'm really hoping that I can get this podcast to be fairly decent, but I need to get some notoriety first, I'm sure. Just as well, if you didn't already know, I will be getting married to Kaltuna, who is also in my server and right across the room from me. We'll be getting married on the 18th, Sunday. So that will be exciting. Well, I mean, we'll get legally married. We got other stuff. Damn, 20 hours is a lot, man. Yeah, like, and that's compiling having to stop and go several times. That's maybe collective. One of the 4-minute videos that I had was like 16 hours probably, give or take. Yeah, I try and put a lot because well, I mean, editing. I love editing. Editing's fun. I mean, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but I like doing it. That's part of why I'm really wanting to get back to edited content, just all kinds of stuff. What is your Discord? Give me a moment. I can pull it up and share it. Let me get a link. Let's say 6 hours, number of uses, 25. Generate a link. Does that work? Alright, let me know if that works. Yeah, it said it was hidden, so let me know if that works. If you want to jump into my Discord. Alright. So I figured aside from updating news, I'd probably start off with some of my favorite games, awesome games. Games like Zelda, Star Fox, Metroid, whatever have you. I gotta be honest, Zelda's probably been with me my whole life, despite having started on Chrono Trigger. I remember the one that really that made me give in to its feel was Zelda Ocarina of Time. It just felt really good, and then having played A Link to the Past, my god, it does so much for me. I often remember when, back in the day, I only had a Super Nintendo for the longest time, and then the next system I got when I was, I don't know, already 9 or 10, I don't remember when I got it. But when I got that, I didn't have the N64. That was really weird doing that big jump and not having that. However, when I got that, I ended up having the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, which had Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda for NES, and Zelda 2, Link's Adventure. And that was really interesting. I really liked having that. Well, already. Gotta go. Alright, well, you have a good one, gooey boy. After having played Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I was about as far in love with it. I remember having played at other people's houses on Ocarina of Time on the N64. There was this weird connection that I had where that's what I really wanted to stick in with it, but I never had it. I never got to keep it until the GameCube came out. Bleh. So it was a really weird time for me, because I would always remember bits and pieces of it. It's like, oh god, but I want to play it and I don't have it. And then finally got the GameCube and everything was alleviated and it was wonderful. And ever since, I've been keeping up with Zelda games ever since then. Gotta say, I love Breath of the Wild. I haven't even bothered beating it because I don't care. I love just running around the world. The massive, massive world, doing whatever I want. Cinematically the best, I think. Twilight Princess was cinematically the best to me. It was just the most interesting one as far as that goes. Midna was a wonderful character. Probably the best supporting character that I've seen, and the best help character, or hint character. Whereas Navi was annoying, Fi was what we thought Navi was, but for real, because when we had Fi, we realized that, well, Navi's not really that, annoying. Because you have a choice. You don't have to talk to Navi. She'll just yell in your ear every time you do certain actions or get close to certain things. It's like, jeez. It's funny how we go back and forth between comparisons. Shadowstar, beating it is a waste. You don't get anything and the fight is too easy. I had a problem with the fight, but I think that was because I'm just terrible at the game. I'm not very good at games, despite how much I want to play games in general. I would call myself fairly casual. I don't care about hardcore or getting all the achievements. I just want to have fun playing the game. And if other people enjoy doing that and trying to get so much and trying to get all that stuff and all the special stuff and all the secrets, that's fine. As long as they enjoy it, that's what counts. Grog game still never beat Breath of the Wild. I sort of gave up after the second dungeon, lol. Eh, I mean, I'd say it's worth picking up if you have a good sense for exploration as opposed to accomplishing something specific. It's kind of like I don't know. You almost do your own adventure, and there's these things you can do. But I remember while playing it, I had a bunch of feelings like I wanted to do this thing, I wanted to do that thing. So it was just really interesting to me. I would jump in and I just pick a spot and go there. Oh, there's a thing that's supposed to be here. Well, I want to go there. It looks like I can't make it by traditional means. I can't just walk there or warp there. All right, time to start climbing or find other ways to get around. It was just real fun. I'd find all these secret areas or areas that I otherwise wouldn't have found. God, it was just fascinating, and the landscape is just beautiful. Very beautifully made game. And I completely understand when people are like, it just didn't appeal to me. I get it. I can see where some of that's a problem. But a lot of those things, for me, was the very things that made me fall in love with it. So that was pretty interesting. A Link to the Past, I'm really surprised. I have not given that one as much attention as I probably should. And eventually I'm going to go ahead and play that on my channel. I want that one to be episodic. Uh, it's that it has an incredibly good formula. If I had to say, that's probably one of the few games that I would say are absolutely perfected for its medium. The Super Nintendo, I think, its lifetime was incredibly appropriate. The Super Nintendo, at the time, it finally phased out, and the GameCube or the N64 came in. I mean, the games are still relevant almost to the end of the N64. People still talking about A Link to the Past and still playing it and still making comparisons. And I think it's incredibly polished. A Link to the Past, I think, is, for some people, severely underrated. And I don't know why I haven't bothered to go ahead and actually beat it. At some point, I'm sure I'll stop being lazy and crank up my Switch, hook up my Elgato, and get to playing it and recording it and putting it on my channel. That ought to be fun. At some point, I hope to do a lot more games, but unfortunately I had the bright idea of starting off episodic series with a whole bunch of friggin' JRPGs, because I'm some kind of masochistic idiot. Go, yo Dren, what's up, Jorg? How's it going? Finally doing another one of these episodes. Let me know if you want to jump in. Oh man, can't believe I haven't beaten A Link to the Past. And I mean, it's not like it's that difficult to figure out what to do. I just haven't bothered. I guess probably because my era probably was mostly GameCube that I was interested in. I was not very good at games in general, so I died a lot and I got lazy, and I'm trying to make up for that for the most part, I guess. It's fun. It's all fun. I I gotta be honest. When it comes to the first Zelda, it's really hard for me to care. I know it might be taboo to say that, but it's just I can't get interested. It's not my era. I'm not gonna say it's a bad game or anything, but I mean, I just have a hard time getting interested in it. I have played it. I've beaten several levels, and I just lose interest. As far as Zelda 2, I mean, it doesn't feel like a Zelda game, and I'm glad I'm glad when it came back to A Link to the Past, it did turn into what it became, uh, the top overview, and I don't know, just it just worked after that. It really did. Another one I need to talk about the Wind Waker. The Wind Waker was definitely very interesting. The only problem I really have to say is that it's very empty, and that's what made it hard. That's what makes it hard for me to enjoy that is you spend a lot of time waiting because you're trying to travel. And yeah, warp points made it a little better, but I still really had a hard time trying to keep up and, you know, not feel like I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. But that's what ended up happening, and I get some of it was due to events, and it's supposed to help you unlock faster travel later on. But I didn't really care. I just wanted to have fun, and felt like I had to have a bit of fun and then wait, travel, have a bit of fun and then wait, travel, have a lot of fun and then wait and travel, and that's what made it kind of hard for me to stay appealed to it. But it is what it is, I suppose. Still a good game. Uh, Skyward Sword. Uh, it it just doesn't have. It doesn't feel like Link. It feels like a Zelda game, but it just doesn't feel like Link. I understand the weird differences it has, but fucking, I don't get what's going on. I was really confused because for one thing, you start off with like 6 hearts, and two things went through my mind. Either one, this is going to be a particularly difficult game, and there's not going to be quite as much life to go around. Then, as I started playing the game, I realized, no, this is easy relative to your health, and the game is trying to hold my hand. And I really didn't like it. It was hard for me to get the appeal. I think the Switch version will likely be better when they get it remastered. And they'll probably give the option where you don't really have to waggle the Wii remote because you have controllers that you can just hook in and have the option to play with just the controller. And maybe they'll find a way around the bomb bowling. Or, just make a button you can switch back and forth between rolling it and throwing it or something. I don't know. I just know it kind of annoyed me. Alright, anything happening over here? There is not. Alright. Definitely something that I'm interested in is the Breath of the Wild 2 that's supposedly coming out. I think Age of Calamity was done really well relative to the Breath of the Wild series. And I'm really highly anticipating when it comes out that hopefully it'll be a good game. The only thing I'm worried about is if it's going to be a little too heavy on railroading you through a story as opposed to letting you play the game. That's kind of where I had a problem with Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess, despite being a adventure where you run around yourself and do what you want, it still felt like you were going in a linear path. And that's great for following the story, and I love stories. But when you're going on an adventure, I didn't really feel like I had quite as much choice. There was a few side things you can do, but those side things really didn't matter as much as far as I could tell. I was more interested in the story, and I just kind of went with the story, but didn't really want to do anything else. There wasn't anything else to do. And I guess probably the same problem that I have with a lot of movies nowadays. I just don't like it when everything looks like a certain shade for the atmosphere. I like color. I like how colors pop. That's one of the things that really made me appealing. Made Ocarina of Time particularly appealing. Is there was so much color, so much to look at. Same thing with Breath of the Wild. I'm really glad they didn't try and go with a super realistic version of it, and they just made it really detailed without making everything too complicated. Whereas Twilight Princess, they try to put a bunch of realistic detail. I remember when I was in England and I first got a magazine, before Twilight Princess even had the subtitle Twilight Princess. In the magazine, it referenced it as being the Lord of the Rings of the Legend of Zelda series. Of course, that, made my mind blow, but nowadays, when I realize Lord of the Rings was basically D&D, and they could have done whatever they wanted, now I'm like, oh, well, that's not like Lord of the Rings then. I mean, you're making the aspect as far as detail. But, still a good game. They're almost all good games, except maybe the Studio A versions. Now there's a cat playing. And something else. Metroid. Metroid's a series I hold near and dear to me. Ever since Super Metroid. My god. Was Super Metroid the first game I ever actually beat? Give me just a moment. I want to think it may have. I really don't remember. But Super Metroid was definitely another one of those games that caught my eye. When I had the Super Nintendo, I only had, 12 games. I had maybe 12 games to choose from. And it was just playing those games repeatedly, back and forth, what have you. And, of course, at some point it got pretty boring, but my parents and I never went out anywhere. Jesus, cat. Jesus. Cat. Right there. Sweet. Oh, God. Jeez. He's going to ham on it. Golly. My headphones back on. Okay. So Super Metroid is definitely one of the ones I'm playing right now on my channel, and something that I would recommend anyone to play. And I might be talking about some of you. And now that I've gotten to see other people play it, it's opened up a whole new world, because I didn't realize a bunch of things I could have done. When I first beat it, I probably beat it in, 14 hours or something. Are you ever going to do multiplayer? I do plan to do multiplayer at some point, but right now my computer can't really handle it. Not because it doesn't have high enough RAM or anything, but as of right now, I need to get new graphics cards, and graphics cards are expensive. The one that I was recommended is like $300 at GameStop. It's like $299 or $310 or something. And I really want to get it, really badly, but that's a lot of money to drop at once for something that isn't a necessity. But one day that'll happen. And hopefully it'll be glorious. Now with Metroid. Metroid has stayed pretty much the same overall, at least until it got to the GameCube era. And I was in love with Metroid Prime. I played Metroid Prime like crazy. Did I know what I was doing half the time? Kinda. Did the friggin' ghosts scare the shit out of me? Yep. Yeah, they did. But man, did I have a load of fun. And, one of the complaints I hear most is a lot of people hated the scan system. I loved it. Why? Because it added so much to the world around me when I started to read them. Now, of course, I didn't read them every time, I scanned something. I waited a while, and then I decided to read them later. The only ones I really had to read at the time would be probably if I'm having a hard time fighting a particular enemy. That's normally where I had hard dips. But it was so interesting. And I remember the way it was explained to me was that it's not so much a first-person shooter, it's more considered a first-person adventure. And something about that just blew my mind, because this is when I've already played some first-person shooters, like the old Medal of Honor games. You guys remember those? My god. Medal of Honor. Rising Sun. Medal of Honor. Frontlines. And those are first-person shooters, right? Right. Playing those was crazy. But guess what? It's like, this doesn't have the same feel. And that's where I realized there was a difference. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, all those games, they have a particular feel as far as an FPS. But Metroid's feel is very different, even Metroid Prime. That is also basically a first-person shooter. But it's an adventure. Not to mention, the Metroid series has always had a great, they've always had a great track record in, relative to having, a story being able to be told without telling you a story. When you run through the areas, you start to see and pick up on what's going on around you, what's happened here, and you can piece together things. Now, of course, in the Metroid Prime series, it does kind of tell you, it gives you a lot more information that you have to go by. But I remember in Super Metroid, you could piece together almost everything that happened on Planet Zebes, or Zebes, or however the hell they want to say it. I always like Zebes. That's how I always considered it, so that's what it's going to be. That is my headcanon, and it's not going away anytime soon. Now, Zebes, playing in Super Metroid, was incredible. Because as soon as you go through this, the only story you get is at the beginning, where it actually explains the synopsis for the previous game, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, and then takes you on a roller coaster of what happened after that. Well, hell, it even recaps the first game a little bit. What happened there? Just to catch up anyone, so that way you don't even have to play the first two Metroids. You know, especially since a lot of people likely didn't have access to them at the time, depending on how far along you were in. I came up in the Super Nintendo era, so I didn't play Nintendo much. My brother did, but those were a little harder for me to get into, not to mention, it only worked about, I don't know, 20% of the time, if I could get it working, and the Super Nintendo was working about 60% of the time, and I enjoyed the aesthetic of the games more. Of course, you could say that's me being a spoiled kid, but, fucking whatever. Now, what blew my mind was, we don't even know the names of the characters in the bosses. The only thing we know is maybe the space pirates, Samus, and the name of the planet. And, well, I guess the name of the areas too, but, So it wasn't until years later that my friends and I, finally having internet access, were able to look at names and shit. That was just, what the hell, man? That's what their names are? We just kept calling him, Kraid was Plant Beast. Fantoon was the Ghost Beast. And Kraid was the Fire Beast. And, fuck, what was his name? The one underwater was just a Water Beast. I don't even remember his name. Their name, whatever, its name. My god. What have I done? Like, we went years to that. I mean, part of the thing is a lot of people didn't save the boxes that had, all the art in it and all the explanations for what the characters are and what you're trying to do. So we had only the game cartridge itself to go on. Which I think, despite it sucking that we don't have the original box and the original booklets or anything, it's really interesting where your mind goes when you're trying to piece together information you just don't have. And playing Metroid Prime, was where a lot of that changed, because it gave you the information in-game, despite having a really good booklet explaining a lot of what's going on, and who Samus is and everything. And then realizing Samus was a girl, surprisingly to us, wasn't that shocking. Maybe it was just normal because Alien had already come out and we already saw women who were fighting and shit. It just wasn't like it didn't really phase us that much. It was a little bit of a surprise, just because generally you assume that it's probably a dude, and I guess that's just how the '90s were, maybe early 2000s. But then again, we also had games like Chrono Trigger, which also had female leads. Now, continuing with Super Metroid and Metroid Prime. Again, the first two Metroids, Metroid and Metroid 2 Return of Samus, hard for me to get into. The first Metroid, the super long vertical hallways were agonizing. And this is a game you're supposed to be able to beat in an hour. Come on. And I didn't like that was apparently a thing when I found out about it. You can beat this in an hour? Why? Why would you want to beat it in an hour? I don't know. I guess there's something about the Super Nintendo games that made me appreciate the longer play of a game. Having fun and everything. I don't know. It was a long while before I found out that people speedrunning games were a thing. So what is that's interesting. Oh god. Alright, everything's still working. Cool. Now, going through Metroid Prime. Oh wait, I forgot to say something about Metroid 2 Return of Samus. The only problem I had, it had a bomb-ass soundtrack, and I loved it. It had a good atmosphere, but it was desolate and boring. And maybe that was kind of the point, is for it to be desolate, but maybe it was my incompetence as a player, but it got boring pretty quick because I realized it was very repetitive. You go to one area, you figure out how to get past it, and then you go to the new area, you beat the next Metroid, the next, whatever, the second larval phase or whatever of the Metroid. You kill that, you move on, and you do that, like, to 30 or 60 Metroids or something. You get to the end, there's a Metroid there, there's a Metroid egg there, it comes out, it doesn't attack you, but it kind of follows you. And you're like, okay, well, this planet was supposed to house the very last of the Metroids in existence. I guess I'll just take this to the lab and see what they do. And then Metroid 3 Super Metroid happens. Then all kinds of shit ensues. Metroid Prime definitely has a lot more storytelling, definitely has a lot more to it. 3D environment, 3D map that keeps making me get all looped up because it's using 3D shapes that mend together and could be looked at from a different perspective, like a 3D rectangle. Which side is the front? They have Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, which had a darker atmosphere overall. I mean, yeah, there was, a dark world to go into, but I mean, that was just interesting. That was just interesting to see a darker game, and this was something that was progressive, because games being particularly dark was something I was relatively new to, even in the GameCube era. When Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions came out, I did get to play it a little bit. The only thing I don't like about it is that it was Wii. Now, Jesus. The Wii controls actually were pretty good. They worked pretty well. I was pretty surprised by that. I still have my own copy of Corruptions, which has an interesting story that I'm going to tell you right now. When I tried to get the game, I was actually on a field trip. I had $25 or something. and I said I wanted Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions. I had a friend who had it. He was still playing it, and I got it from GameStop in a town far away during a field trip. I don't remember what year it is. I'm in like high school or early high school, I'm sure. I finally get it. I haven't eaten anything all day. We get back to the home late. Yeah, it's late. It's late enough that it's past when school normally ends. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock or something. The sun's still up, but it's setting. Oh, it's hot, very hot, and I don't have a ride home. My dad is out working, and he has other stuff he has to take care of. He's not home either. So what do? I have to walk home. I'm walking home with this game. And I really didn't enjoy my day that day. I didn't really enjoy the field trip. So what do? I put my solace in having finally acquired the game Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions. So I get home after walking home about 3.25 miles, give or take. So this was about an hour's walk, 40-minute walk, give or take, something like that. I'm home now. I get myself something to drink. I get myself something to eat. It's still hot. I turn on an air conditioner. I sit down, look at the game I have, look at the disc, breathe a sigh of relief, and I put it in the Wii. And what do you think happens after having a shitty day, and that was the only thing I get out of it? The disc will not read at all. It just wouldn't read. I was so upset, so incredibly upset, that the game wouldn't read. I couldn't play the game, I had a shitty day, and now it's even shittier. So I'm just sitting around like, well, fuck. However, I did convince my dad to get used to playing a particular game on the Wii. So much so that he and my stepmother got their own Wii. That game was on Wii Sports Resort, and it was disc golf. Now that not only was a surprise to me, but it worked heavily in my favor. That now they were playing a Wii game, and they played it all the time. So now that they were interested enough in that, maybe they would like another game. Well, they like the golf games, and sometimes they like to mess around some of the other games too. So what we decided to do was we took the game that I had that didn't work, and they got a chance to look around. So I went in and told them, yeah, this game doesn't work. I still got the receipt. We can give it back, and I could get another copy. And something about that, I think my dad said it wouldn't work or something. So what we decided to do was we went to GameStop, I think in local. I think it was about 20 or 40 miles away, not too terribly far. But we went to that GameStop with game in hand, or no, not with game in hand. We went there and got, I think 3 games. One of those games being Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions. At the time, it was $20. Awesome. I also finally got a copy of The Conduit, one of the launch titles, I believe, that helped you understand the motion controls in general and how it would work with FPS shooters. And they got Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12, I think? I don't remember. No, it was earlier than that. It would have been 10. Yeah, the PGA Tour 10, I believe. And then we tested out the copy, and it worked. Holy crap, it worked. And then we took the bad copy, gave it back to GameStop, and got our... Oh, no. That's right. We got the game. We got the first game, the Super Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions, went back, made sure it worked, and then took the old copy back, and then we got equal or less value, and that's how I got the Conduit, and then they got Tiger Woods PGA Tour 10. That's how it happened. My apologies. I'm getting my events screwed up. And that's how I ended up with a good copy of Metroid Prime Corruptions. Holy, Metroid Prime 3 Corruptions. That was just... I hated that. I hated every minute that I had to suffer until I finally got a working copy of the game. And I'm really glad that I had my dad on a game that he enjoyed for the same system I was playing, and not just the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo, which he enjoyed when he was younger, like 30 or something. And that was just a whole mess. And here we are today, and we've had a few more games. We've had Metroid Other M. We've had a few Metroids for the DS and 3DS. We have had various remakes and fan games. We have games like Axiom Verge or Verge Axiom. I forget which way that went. That was an amazing game. Made by one guy. One guy made that game. I'm still incredibly impressed. I believe it was one guy. A lot of them like that. And one of the best things is, at long last, there is finally going to be Metroid Prime 4, which we've been waiting for, I don't know, 8 years or so? We've been waiting for a long, where they've apparently scrapped it several times. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why they kept scrapping it. But something about the Metroid series, there's a lot of pride in it. And it's like they're trying to make sure that whenever they make the game, they want to perfect it. They want to make sure it's as good as it possibly can be. It's one of the games that has had so few disappointments in comparison to other games. Even Zelda's had more things wrong with it than Metroid ever has. I could probably point out more things wrong with Chrono Trigger than I could with Metroid Prime and Metroid series. Besides maybe the first couple games, but it's a very well-polished game. When I get to play the games, they feel complete and finished. I don't have to worry about other DLC content or anything. Anything that you achieve outside of the means of the game is fluff. It's extra. It's not necessary for the game. You can get everything you need in the game in-game, besides, like, some bonus material, like, I think some sketch art or whatever. Which today now can only be acquired by particular means for friend codes. But we're past that. And what I'm really hoping is that they create a bundle for the Metroid Prime trilogy that comes out right before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. Whatever it'll be. Now, as far as I know, I believe the Metroid Prime series is a little bit after the beginning of Samus's adventures. Whereas Super Metroid is almost at the end. Or actually was supposed to be the end. Until the one I want to talk about next. Metroid Other M. My god. My god. What the hell? Metroid Other M was a game I did enjoy. Don't get me wrong. I recommend it. I do. Not for the story. Almost solely for gameplay. Now here's the weird thing. Why is it called Other M? Well, you could say Other Metroid. You could say other mother brain or whatever, you could say a few things of what it could be. I think it means other movie. I think it's supposed to be the Metroid movie. Because when you beat the game, once it's beaten, you can now view it as a 2-hour movie. I don't recommend it. It's interesting, don't get me wrong. It's interesting that a game can become a movie the way it did. And the way the movie takes is it has all the cutscenes, which there's quite a lot. But it also takes a lot of pre-recorded gameplay. Not from you directly, as far as I can tell. I don't think it's yours, which would have been awesome if it was. Which means every time you view it, it could be different if you've played it multiple times. That would have been interesting. But once you've beaten it, you can watch it. It's 2 hours long. It's interesting to see the gameplay portions, but you're not playing it, so it's not like you're getting to experience it anymore. But the story is what killed it. And you find this out at the beginning of the game, how come Samus can't use all her weapons. Because in this, Samus has all her weapons. She has every bit of them. So what gives? Like, well, she doesn't have permission. She has to have permission in order to use particular weapons from this other commander that apparently she used to work in their squad. And that's where it goes downhill. I mean, there's some good characters, but Samus talks a lot, and it's just like, this doesn't feel like the game that I was brought up to enjoy. I mean, what the hell? Why is Samus, like that? Why is... I recommend playing it for yourself. Just get a copy, find a copy from somewhere for like $5 or something. I don't know, download it somehow through means that I'm not going to specify. Play it for yourself. If you really want to, watch it as the movie. I don't recommend that. And the gameplay is so cool. It has a switching viewpoint where you're either looking at the TV or you're playing like it's on a controller and you're side-scrolling almost. And going back and forth actually works surprisingly well. The gameplay feels awesome. If you've seen the gameplay for the Metroid 2 remake, it's kind of like that. It's like super epic. You're jumping around. You're like running up enemies and shit and like shooting them in the face in a headlock and crap. I mean, it's epic. It's fucking, come on. Give me that. Give me more of that. Make Super Metroid like that. And Super Metroid remade like that would be amazing. Could you imagine getting up to Ridley, jumping over platforms, getting in his face, grabbing onto like his horn, getting good footing, and then shooting a supercharged power beam into his eye, flipping back and onto another platform behind you, and then aiming for his mouth as he screams. My god, that would be epic! We need that. We need more of that. I think Team Ninja did a good job, unless they were the ones who only made the damn story, in which case it sucked. I have problems. I'm sorry. Oh. Another game I like to talk about is Chrono Trigger. There's a lot of Chrono Trigger fans out there. I love Chrono Trigger. I know a lot of the people that I know love Chrono Trigger, and there's some people that I know that haven't played Chrono Trigger, and I'm going to have to force it down their throats by shoving my videos in their face eventually. Or by forcing them to play it in a dungeon down below my house in a secret corridor of the world. I mean, put the controller in their hands. Chrono Trigger is an anomaly to me. It's the first JRPG that I really played in depth, even as a young kid who didn't understand how games and stats worked. Like, I was playing it when I was like 4 or something. I don't know. So just imagine that you're playing a game, you're having a hard time playing it because you don't understand that you gotta switch your equipment in order to get past certain areas. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and hope that most of the people that will probably listen to this have probably played it. Chrono Trigger is very highly rated, and with good reason. Now, when I was very young, I played it all the time, like a few of my other games. Like I said, I only had, like, I don't know, 12 games, and 2 of them were fucking Super Mario World. 2 of them, the same game, because apparently, from what I'm told, people just wanted to have more than 3 save slots, which was standard for most games. You alright? When it came to it, I would use a lot of that time playing Chrono Trigger. It was probably the one I would get through the most. I remember just the aesthetic was awesome, the characters were awesome, and I have to say, if I wanted to go into game design again, like I did back then, that was the game that pushed me into that. I would love to get into game design. I just don't have any more drive because of other reasons that I have in another video. You have potential. Feel free to look that up. When I played that game, it was very diverse in comparison to most of the rest of the games that I had. So there's so much color, there's so much to do, or at least it felt like it did at the time, with having a limited scope of games. And it was an RPG. Now, I don't remember, like, taking too much in depth at the time between, oh, this is what an RPG like, this is what a shooter's like, this is what a side-scroller's like. I didn't really pay attention to that because I just wanted to enjoy the game. Chrono Trigger, forgive me for the pun, triggered something in me. I wanted to learn how this worked. So, one day I even started to draw the actual enemies and stuff, at least as I saw them on there. And I would try and record their stats. I would try to recreate things. Now, I didn't have a computer, so all I had was just pencil and paper. So this was just me trying to understand and break down a game for how it worked. And I told my dad, hey, or my mom and dad, hey, I want to be I think I want to try and be a game designer. And that got dashed down, so I kind of gave it up, and now I'm not a game designer. I could have been one. Anyway, I guess I could still be one if I just decide to put my mind to it, but that'll be for another time. When I played through it, characters were incredible. I don't think there's any characters that I just flat out didn't like. I pretty much love all the characters. Even side characters, all the enemy characters are just immaculate. I can't believe that Chrono Trigger doesn't have more notoriety today from older people and younger people. There's so much to appreciate in it. I mean, how is it that we've gone... When did it come out? 1993? 1992? It's been well over 2 decades that this game has been out, and it, of all games, one of the most highest rated games, the highest acclaimed games, does not have a remake. Now, it's had ports. It's had a handful of ports, and that's great and all, but this game deserves a remake. It absolutely does. My God, I remember, God, what was it, 2008, 2007? I would get online and I found Chrono Resurrection. It was a project that a group of people, independent, were working on, trying to basically remake Chrono Trigger piece for piece in a 3D environment for PS2, effectively. To which Sony stopped them. Did like a cease and desist, and I was just like, well, damn it. They're giving us what we want. You could have paid them. You could have bought it from them and made it. You wouldn't have to change anything. It was fucking perfect. I've shared it around here and there, but it could have been the things that could have been. It deserves a remake. Give it a remake. Make a remake, Sony. You fucking cowards. Man, I remember going through it. And that was before I had any relationship with Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball in general. I didn't know anything about it. I I had probably started playing it a bit before I even watched my first episode, and at the time, it was in the middle of the Frieza saga, so there wasn't as much comparison as there was in other parts of Dragon Ball. And my God, same artist and everything, same character designs. I remember Chrono was a character I wanted to be like. I wanted to be Chrono. I wanted to be able to fucking enjoy it. I wanted to enjoy an adventure like that. I wanted to have comrades. The whole thing about having a party like that, you have 3 people in your party, you have a party that you can switch out between 7 different characters, and then you have so much supporting cast and a story that's amazing. And I gotta say, as far as time travel, it's it's got it down pat. Like, yeah, there's still some paradoxes on how it works, but I mean, it closes up most of them. Even though there's 13 endings, most of them are closed. Like most of them close up the paradox, at least as far as I can tell. I'm sure there's still some flaws because time travel is fucking weird, but I mean that's time travel for you. But get this: when you get on to the epoch and you're getting ready to beat the game, you tell me your blood doesn't start to pump when that theme comes on. That theme comes on and it starts to make you pumped, I guess. It pumps you up, and you realize once you're going to an era, there's fire all around you from it, and then you end up in this weird moist cave. The epoch, the ship you were on, is nowhere to be found. The only way to go is forward. And you end up in this weird chamber where a boss ends up talking to you. As the chamber lights up, you see a creature connected from top to bottom with various tubes that seem to be running and lining the inside walls of the chamber. You realize you're inside a creature. This creature is, for whatever reason, fairly abstract and seems to know a lot about you and the characters, as if it also has gone through time. How is this possible? We don't know. But oh, excuse me. Thank you. But you know that it is the cause of what's gone wrong in the future. And to save the future, you must defeat it. That is amazing. That's so awesome. You have to go to the past. It changes various things in the world. You take care of things that made your present a problem. You go back. You change it for the better through various other means from characters from other eras, and you fix things. It's crazy. You find out some characters are actually from very long ago who are now in the I don't know, Middle Ages from way deep in the Dark Ages because they had secret areas up top where they were enlightened and they have magic. And even though no one else understands in the Middle Ages, you just say, it's magic. It's all magic, superpowered, whatever. And it becomes what seems to be a normal thing. So, like, the fantasy environment that we have was almost artificially created thanks to enlightened ones. You find that out, that blows your fucking mind. Then you realize that the monsters actually have a particular source of evolution and come from these crazy origins that you never would have thought. Just so much thought was put into a game. I put so many hours into it. I could play it all the time, despite wanting to be fucking done with it on my channel. And by that, I mean I want to go ahead and go through it so I can actually review it properly. I so badly want to review Chrono Trigger, but I don't feel comfortable doing it yet without having all my footage. Not to mention, things have changed. I mean, let's face it. When I started, it was terrible. And I guess now it's still terrible. But it looks better. And I can't wait to be done. I'm going to try and do that, and I'm going to try and make a short abridged version. Or I'm going to make an abridged version. I'm going to make a compilation of all the best parts. That'll take a lot of time, because I have to go back and watch every episode, and I'm going to hate it because I have to listen to myself. Oh. And that's what I plan to do for all of them, for all the games I play. That's going to be crazy for me. I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do that. I want to keep the episodic feel because I don't know, I like it. I really do. I might also stream Chrono Trigger to have a more active thing, but that'll be a separate thing as well. And preferably after I've actually played through it entirely on my channel. I don't know, maybe I'll just try and binge through it while I'm recording all my gameplay. I'll try and get a whole bunch of episodes. But man, you talk about a good game. Almost anyone my age or older will fucking tell you, Chrono Trigger, you gotta play Chrono Trigger. You want a good game from the past? Play Chrono Trigger. Sony, stop being a coward. Give us that remake. Alright. Another series I really enjoy? Star Fox. Oh yes. Star Fox, and I actually didn't play that much Star Fox overall. In fact, I really didn't start playing until I had a copy of Star Fox Adventures. That's the one that really put it in for me. Now, I had played Star Fox 64 a bit, and I even had the original Star Fox for Super Nintendo. Well, a copy. Not going to tell you how. But I have that. And that is definitely interesting. And if you guys have seen any gameplay on the first one, you know that it's a bunch of like kind of blank polygons. A lot of the stuff you see is vague. And then the Star Fox 64 is similar, but like with a bunch of polish. Things actually look like they have depth. They don't look like blank polygons and weird shading, because they have a lot more to work with. And of course, it's a console that's a lot more accommodating, a lot more powerful in comparison, for the sake of 3D and making 3D environments playable. However, Star Fox Adventures was very different. As it implies, you have to go on an adventure on the mainland. Now, some of you may have seen that the original concept for Star Fox Adventures that was going to come out when it was being made for the N64. That has been released, and eventually I'd like to play that. But I didn't have that. I had the GameCube version, which probably looks better, but they changed a lot of things in between. For example, the character Crystal was originally going to be a cat and was raised by a wizard whose name I can't remember now. I don't remember if the wizard was a he or she, but that's what her backstory was. She was orphaned as a young child and being raised by this wizard, and that's how she got her staff that he harnessed from Krazoa technology or whatever, I don't know, Sharp Claw. And originally the uh, they have a language on Saria, or the dinosaur planet, later to be known as Saria, and apparently that was loosely taken from Final Fantasy X's Albed, where basically it was a cipher, a usable cipher where you could actually speak it, not just a random cipher. Such as KO was always in there for the word "the." Now, trying to figure out the rest of it is pretty complicated. It was really hard for me to find context. And it was even weirder when they still say Krazoa the same way and everything. But I guess, it'd still be the Krazoa Palace because that's the proper noun. Whatever. Okay, sure. But that was such an interesting game when I got it, and when I first played it, and get this, I was actually in England. I was in England visiting family for the first time that I had never met as far as I had known. Well, I had met a few of them, not everyone. But I met family. My mother was born in England, and I got to see what England was like. Well, some of it. I'm sure it would have taken more than just a summer to get to see England to any kind of depth. I think I was 8, and if you don't know this, if you've only been in America your whole life and you don't know this, the plugs are a lot larger and power is different. Power output from your wall is different. So the consoles are different. So the consoles from there do not necessarily work if you take them to America, and vice versa. That's as far as I know. There are adapters, and I think Sega had. I think he talked about this a little bit, having to go through various consoles and various adapters to make something work. You can probably find out a little bit more on his channel somewhere. But for one thing, that was something that blew my mind. And I remember I had a cousin, and I went to his house. This is someone I don't even know, and somehow I end up following him to his house, which was kind of weird. I just accepted that he was my cousin, and that was it. But we went to his house, we went upstairs, and we played some video games. Hell yeah. You want to kidnap me? You bribe me with games, video games, candy, and I don't know, what else? What else do I like? Well, I probably shouldn't say that nowadays, but it's different when I was a kid. But in any case, that's probably what you needed to get me into a bedroom or something or whatever, or to a van. Candy and video games. Holy shit! That was the first time I played F-Zero. It's the first time I played a lot of games, because games there for the GameCube came out before they came out in America, including Super Smash Bros. Melee, which, by the way, blew my fucking mind. And I only got to play that like a day before I had to leave to come back to America. Now, as for Star Fox Adventures, when I played that was at another cousin's house whom we had to take time to visit. We had to drive pretty far out of our way and stay there for a decent amount of time to actually get to know them. However, I wanted to play video games because that's just what I liked. I went a little bit back and forth between Super Monkey Ball and Star Fox Adventures. That was probably the beginning of a particular awakening of something I enjoyed. Because holy crap, there was so much going on in my head during that time. There was a lot of things I discovered, things I didn't know I could feel, things that I'm pretty sure was not done on purpose. When I start exploring a computer that someone else had and their friends got a hold of it and decided to put various uh not safe for work pictures on it, and I discover them and have to hide them because what else am I looking at? Yeah, yeah, things happened. Things happened, and I had an awakening. And I didn't, and I deny it for so long until way later. And now I'm not ashamed of it. I just not sure I should say it here online like this. Maybe on something where I'm not talking directly to people. Or as direct, I should say. Anyway, when I first started playing that game, I was kind of confused because I saw Star Fox. Okay, I like Star Fox 64. Let's try this out. And something about it was super interesting. The fact that it was an adventure, which it was like Zelda in that sake, in that case. And I enjoy Zelda, so I enjoyed this. Star Fox, so that's pretty freaking cool. So I go through part of the story. Of course, I'm a young kid. I don't know how the fuck games work. So I go through that and play that. I get, I don't know, so far into the series, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I think I finally understood how that scarabs were currency, and that I need to collect enough to get past the rock giant, that nice guy. Well, once I did that, I think it was about time for us to go, and I left. So that was all kinds of stuff there. Well, after a while, I finally got the game. It took me years to beat it because of this one bullshit part that made me rage quit, and it was a particular trial, and when I finally beat it, I was so pissed off because I realized I was literally like a second from beating it. But luckily, I mean, I did it. I finally beat the game. But it was definitely very interesting. Playing through a game that's not like any other Star Fox game. There's a lot more talking. There's not as much real saving as you'd expect. And there's a lot of backtracking. The world is not as big as a world would imply. Not a land, a world. And that's probably where a lot of the disconnect came from as far as negative things about it. And I don't think it is as polished. Even though it's a game that overall looks better than the previous games, it could have been polished a lot better. And just, that's the kind of game that really should have had a jump mechanic. Why do you deny us the jump mechanic for that game? Because there's a lot of areas where it wouldn't have helped because it was higher than would have reasonably been allowed to jump. But there's some areas where no, a jump would be very appropriate right here. Just let me jump. Let me do a hop or something to grab the ledge. It's like, oh, well, then wouldn't the game be too easy? No. No, because you still have plenty of parts where you have to use a friggin' rocket or whatever to climb up, or it's too high to just jump. There's only a few ledges, and it would just make things just a little bit quicker and a little bit easier to traverse. There's something about the travel that was just kind of mundane. I remember going back and forth through certain areas because I didn't know what the fuck to do. Also, Tricky is just not that good of a character. Honestly, it's kind of annoying that he can't eat on his own. Frankly, I think what should happen is, if you uncover the mushrooms that he's supposed to eat, he can eat them willy-nilly until he's full, and then doesn't eat any mushrooms until he has reason to eat. Frankly, if he did this on his own, this would also take away a lot of what annoyed me about the game. Nevertheless, it's a game I loved. I loved the aesthetic, and I loved other aspects of it. And, you know, you get to see a girl fox. And, oh, yeah, that's right. She's not a cat in the final product. She is another fox to be a clear love interest for Crystal. or for Fox, sorry. Crystal is the love interest for Fox, which creates a kind of interesting dynamic. And then we get another gem, Star Fox Assault. Holy crap, did that hit? It's clearly sometime after Star Fox Adventures. Crystal's become a well-rounded member of the team. She helps in adventures, she has her own ship, and she fights her own battles. Now, she doesn't have the staff anymore, but she definitely has that nice suit that helps protect her, and plenty of guns to boot. And she's not bad as a pilot. Gotta be honest, that game, pretty amazing. I don't think it was too terribly difficult. I don't think there's too much wrong with it. The controls could have been better. I really think controls could have been better. It has this third-person perspective, and they don't always translate well in games. They are not something that I have. I don't know. It's very few games have really perfected the third-person perspective, where it's working and it's not annoying. I have this problem when it comes to things like Skyrim or Oblivion, Elder Scrolls games, or Fallout games. The third-person view just doesn't really work that well. It's not really meant for that, because your character doesn't move in the way that's appropriate for that. Your character moves because generally it's seen as a first-person shooter or first-person type control. So things tend to be awkward. But I'd say this is one of the better on that. Not perfect. It definitely could have been better. I can't think of a good example of a third-person shooter right now. Maybe Gears of War. I think Gears of War did a good job. Army of Two. I think Army of Two did good on those spots. A few parts when it came to Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear Solid series. Things like that I think did well. Not all of them were heavy on the third-person shooting, but it had some third-person shooting aspects that I think worked well. But Star Fox Assault really didn't have a focus on a particular method of fighting, because you could have the Landmaster, you could have your R-Wing, or you could run on the ground. Now, of course, running on the ground, you were most vulnerable, but in the tank, you had the most defense, but you don't have the third plane of movement, the Y-axis, or the Z-axis, so you're just kind of stuck on the ground, and it's easier to get hit. And although the R-Wing doesn't have as much defense, it's faster and easier to dodge, because now you do have that third angle of movement. Well, I think they mesh together very well. You can jump out of the Landmaster or the R-Wing at any time, which can yield some odd results, such as falling to your death. No water, please. No deep water, please. I don't think there was fall damage. I think there was only falling off and then getting shot or getting exploded. And you go through the various areas. Your main enemy is fighting Aperoids. Now, there are a lot of areas in which you don't really have a choice in how you fight. You have to do it a certain way. Such as there's some areas where you have to use the R-Wing. That's just how that battle works. Or you have to be inside an area and you have to fight hand to hand. There's no Landmaster or R-Wing. But there are some areas in which you use all three of them, or at least two of them. Such as there's a colon or space, I guess like a supply, where a bunch of shady people generally hang out at and disperse supplies to each other, as far as I can tell. And you need to go outside so that way you can stop intruders and save your comrades, and then you have to go inside to take out whatever's there. And you have to go in between both of them, which means you have to consistently make enough progress that you don't have to worry about making it back up when you come back inside from being in the R-Wing. Which I think made a pretty interesting dynamic when I figured out that was what you had to do. But probably one of the more interesting things I thought was the multiplayer. Yeah, it had a multiplayer. Yeah, most of the Star Fox games had multiplayer, but this was something else. This was multiplayer, but all three forms in most of the maps. How do you do that on two screens? Kind of like any other game, but I don't know. It was delightful. It was interesting when you could run side by side, because touching another person by itself doesn't harm each other, which means what we can do is we can get to a point and see which characters are the fastest. How far do guns actually shoot? Actually look at how it is. Not to mention, trying to actually fight each other and win the round was an absolute joy. I really, really would like to play with someone again. If I could get Jorgogo or someone in my house to play it, it would be awesome. I would love it. But it's not for everyone. There's a lot of people who don't like the aesthetic of Star Fox. There's a lot of people who don't like the aesthetic of that kind of gameplay. When they think Star Fox, they really like to think hard on, well, it's a vehicle-based game where you have to be either a Landmaster or an R-Wing, or some kind of, thing where you run around. I like to think otherwise. I don't like thinking like that. I like to, play my cards the way I play them. And I like to play my cards at random, because I don't know what I'm going to pick up. Sometimes I don't always like it, but that's how I'm going to treat it. I love Star Fox Assault. I definitely recommend it for anyone. Sure, the designs are different, the characters are a bit different, but it's fucking cool. Shut up. I know what I like. One of my favorite things throughout the Star Fox series is that it's always retained a particular feel of being in this adventure with these characters, because the Star Fox team they're mercenaries, often hired by the Space Force or whatever. They're hired by their local military a lot of the time, and that's why they're normally on the side they're on. They're like, if they were actually part of that military, they would always be starting from that point, but they're not. Maybe in the original game they do, and maybe there's some lore that I've missed where he and his team decide to separate and are no longer pilots from the academy and decide to be their own team, and at some point have gained enough to be able not only have enough notoriety, but also buy the Great Fox, which has had various changes throughout the years. Well, then we get the one for DS, Star Fox Command, which is very similar to Star Fox 2 in gameplay-wise. I thought that was really neat when I saw the gameplay. This was before I'd ever played Star Fox 2, which now you can play on the Switch Nintendo membership Super Nintendo thing. The emulator on Switch. Super Nintendo emulator on Switch. You can now play it. I definitely recommend it. It's fairly short. It could be longer. I wish it was longer. But, I mean, the game can be beaten pretty quick. But the gameplay, although be it very abstract in comparison to what you would normally think a Star Fox game would be, very interesting. Now, with the DS game, Star Fox Command, they do expand on storylines and story paths, so that way you can actually play the game in length. It gives you reason to replay it over and over. Now, you have many different areas in which you go, and after you beat the first storyline, you get access to another storyline, which, depending on what you do, you can actually get to see the various different endings. Which I think I've gotten about 3 of them. And some of them are not so happy, unfortunately. And that's scary. That's something that is very scary. Let me check my stream health. Am I good? I'm good. Thank you. Excuse me. Oy vey. Oh, okay. Alright. Now, I haven't heard anything else about Star Fox. I haven't heard anything about Star Fox as far as another game for a long time. Not anything official, anyway. I've heard rumors every once in a while where, hey, they're going to be making a new Star Fox game, and the last one that came out was lackluster. It was basically a remake of the first one with the extra levels that it was originally supposed to have or something, or maybe it was the 64. I didn't hear very good things about it. Was it Star Fox Zero, I believe? I heard it was lackluster and just not worth the money that was put into it, not worth the money that a lot of people paid for it. But with the way that Star Fox Command ended, it's not like you can just regularly make a new game for Star Fox. Not just based off that, even though it should be a series that works very linearly. You see, at the beginning of the Star Fox Command, you find out that a lot of things have happened. Fox and Crystal have broken up. Crystal has joined Starwolf and has made romance with, what's his name? Panther. Whatever his fucking name was. Panther Caruso, that's what it was. So, there's tension there. And there's like, I don't know, 15 different endings or something. So there's a bunch of different endings. How do you... What do you do for a game that takes place after that game? Where do you go from there? And I think that's where we find a lot of the problems when we're trying to figure out what does what. So, if you have to make a certain thing, only certain endings can be canon. Like, there's one where Fox and Crystal get back together, and there's one where they stay permanently separated. You can't have those coexist at the same time in the next upcoming game. So one of those will be canon. Now, that's not to say some other endings won't be canon. Some of them can coincide, but only in certain ways. So maybe that's part of the reason why they haven't had one that's meant to take place afterwards. But, I don't know. It's interesting that someone finally found the original that was supposed to be for N64 for Star Fox Adventures. So now we can actually play that, which from what I've seen seemed to be in fairly unfinished game. Still needing a lot of polish, which is interesting that it came to GameCube. I imagine, at a guess, it's probably why it came out. It probably happened so late in the game that the GameCube was already coming out by the time they had made any remote headway, so maybe that's what happened. I don't know. At least it didn't seem like they scrapped the whole game. It just seems like they rebuilt it. Like what would have been a remake otherwise. I guess before there were any particularly heavy remakes like we have today, where there's remakes of fucking everything. And a lot of times with good reason. Some of them are remasters, and I'm kind of disappointed at some of the remasters, because some of them should have been remakes, let's face it. Some of these remasters should have been remakes. Final Fantasy X, 10-2, great for remaster. Final Fantasy 7, great for a remake. Not so good for a remake. What game is it? I wouldn't remake. I would, if Final Fantasy 12 it doesn't need to be remade right now. A remaster for Final Fantasy 12 was fine. It was great. Remake Chrono Trigger. Remake games that were from, like, I don't know, early GameCube. You want to know what else deserves a remake? Grandia 2. I don't know about Grandia 1. I haven't played through all of it. I don't know how good of a game. But Grandia 2 was excellent. For PS2, that era, it used blocky graphics because they made it a really big game that worked really well with a super interesting active battle system with an arena in which you could be running at a time to where they're going back to a certain spot, and just because the enemy happened to swipe as they were running, they miss. It was kind of like if you were to scale up how a D&D battle works technically based on how you're moving around. Interesting, right? Right. You can get hit by attack of opportunity and shit. Crazy, right? Yeah. Alright. Uh-huh. Ugh. Definitely want to see another Star Fox game, though. I would love to see that. One day, I'm sure we'll get it. Or we'll get, the same old stuff we've been getting, but a little bit better. Honestly, if they redid or remastered Star Fox Assault, that would probably give rise to a lot of the fans in Star Fox. And I think that would create a lot of more fans, because it seriously, if it had just a little more polish and a little bit better controls, a lot of people would get right back into wanting to get another Star Fox game. Something I strongly recommend. And if you guys get a chance to play it, by all means. Eventually I'll play it here on my channel. I mean, I can say that about like 1,000 games, but nevertheless, I want to play it. I've got over 500 games. I haven't even counted... Wait, have I counted them all? Yeah, I haven't even gotten them all. There's still a lot of things I've got on digital that I haven't accommodated for. God damn. I need to see how many games I actually have. I need to finish that list. I'm cataloging all the games, all the movies, and all the books we have. It's insane. Fucking 520 games in, and there's still more. 430 of them, I think, were all physical copies of games. Like, how do I have that many? How did I accumulate so many games? And that's not trying to, like, make a big collection. That's casually buying games. That's between, like, PC, various consoles, handheld consoles, and current consoles and stuff. Like, I've got a whole rack full of games. We have a whole rack full of games. It's insane. Holy shit, dude. I get it. If I was a collector, this wouldn't be surprising. I can't really call myself a heavy collector. I get games that I think I'll like, and I'm very casual about that. And there's so many goddamn games I haven't played that I really want to play. But I just don't have time, and every time I do try and make time for it, I feel guilty, because I'm not, like, doing it for the channel, and I'm not, I feel like I could be doing something better when I'm not doing it for the channel. I don't know, it's like an oxymoron, even though I waste a lot more time just trying to figure out what the fuck I want to do. And then I end up procrastinating. Come on. Why does my brain gotta do that? Why? Oh. More games. I'm very much into the Super Nintendo. I love those games. The fact that they have Breath of Fire on there surprised me, because when I grew up, most people didn't know about Breath of Fire. Tell me, have you guys any familiar with Breath of Fire besides anything I may have talked about personally? Breath of Fire is a pretty good RPG, JRPG, if you will. You would think on first glance that it's probably some of the same developers for Chrono Trigger, but not really. It's got a whole different team, different people. I don't know as far as maybe similar concept artists or whatnot, but it's really cool. So to start off on Breath of Fire, you are, I guess, an orphan who's been brought up in this real small town that used to house light dragons as a people. I'm not sure how that works, but the world is very odd, where some people are these bird people, some people are dragon people, some people are dark dragon people. It's weird. It's interesting. I haven't beaten the game myself, but one day I hope to. Now, when you get into the battle system, it has this. It is turn-based, but it has this isometric angle where you're at a diagonal field as far as view. At the bottom, it's like you have cards, and then you have like the characters, and then you press the accept button, and it brings up your menus. And then you go through the options that you have, and then you choose to attack, to defend, to use magic, to use an item, stuff like that. The aesthetic that it gives during battle is really different, even though it effectively works the same as any other RPG, any other standard RPG. But it definitely gives a great way of separating it from others. It's not like others, even though mechanically it's the same. They also have a few interesting overworld features in which you can manipulate the world around you by doing various things. Like, you get a character who can shoot arrows, and when you shoot arrows, as long as you don't get into a random encounter, you can actually pick up an item from something that you shoot, like a deer or a hog. And you can get items that way, which is pretty cool. You can only carry up a maximum of 9 of the same item in a slot, and you only have so many slots, so you have a limited amount of space that you can use. That doesn't change by having more characters, which kind of sucks. The level system, I think, is very good. It's relatively simple. You know, you gain experience, whatever. I just think it's very well balanced, I should say. That's the term I need to use. Balance. It's very balanced. If I were to take an hour to play that versus an hour to play a Final Fantasy game, there wouldn't be much difference as far as balance and progress. The only difference would be whether or not I know what I'm doing, and I know where to go, and how well the game conveys, in which this game, I think, conveys information pretty well, but I've had to do a lot of what the fuck do I do? It doesn't hold your hand telling you what to do, but there's some parts where it's like it doesn't give me enough information because I haven't spoken to a particular person, or I didn't know I was supposed to talk to a particular person. So I often find myself having to run through a town, talk to every individual except the one that's going to put me in fucking jail, because that's a thing. And come on, man, what do I do? What do you want from me? Just like, Jesus Christ, just let me play the game. I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do on this one. But, I mean, it doesn't take too much when you're actually a seasoned enough gamer and not, you know, a young kid who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing playing a video game. That's just me. That's just me. I'm terrible at video games in general. We all know this, though. Breath of Fire, I made a lot of progress on initially. And then I didn't have the cartridge for a while, and now I can play it on my Switch and I can play it on my computer. That has been my solace for that game. And I think the world is just incredibly interesting. There's an area where there's the undead that come to life, but they are not malicious in this case. There's an area where there's a mist where certain people are become particularly weak and cannot fight. Your main character gets powers to turn into various types of dragons. And hence why he ends up being called a Light Dragon Warrior or something, or Dragon Warrior, something like that. If I remember right, there's plenty of furries. I'll just say that. There's an area where that's always daylight, and there's an area that's always nighttime. Until you get to the point where you stop, where you make that stop and turn it back to regular. There's a dungeon that moves around in the desert, kind of like the camel level did in Breath of the Wild, except you have to find a way to get into it. And wait, am I thinking of the right place? No, I think that was something else. In any case, you have to get into it, even though it's a moving area. Which blew my fucking mind. There's certain items you have to backtrack and learn to get, but you can only start getting them after you realize that you need something to get past the area before certain dialogue is allowed. Tell me that doesn't blow your mind. And I haven't played too much of Breath of Fire 2. I played a little bit of it, but I do plan to play that one too, because that one also has a very similar atmosphere, feels the same, and also gives me that feeling of euphoria when playing the game. Oh, there's a lot of good games in that era. Final Fantasy games, I mean, what hasn't been said about that? Except that some of them might be overrated, and I feel like some of them are overrated and some of them are underrated. And I feel like actually Final Fantasy VI is weirdly underrated to me, because it's just such a good game. I still to this day think it's cinematically the best Final Fantasy to date. Final Fantasy X, fucking no. Tice was kind of an annoying character. Admit it. He was annoying. I mean, I'm not gonna say he was a bad character, but he was hard to listen to sometimes. Trying to listen to him was like listening to fucking nails on a chalkboard or some shit. Sometimes, because he was just so goddamn whiny. Final Fantasy 12, yeah, it was a lot more in-depth story, but it was also a lot more RPG-like, where you had a lot more to do. So that took away from any of the story elements that sucked. And I mean, Vaughn, come on. He's whinier than Titus, or Titus, as they apparently said. I think at the end it's actually pronounced Titus. Tell me that wasn't a freaking shock. Even though you can name them other things. Weird. Oh. Probably another one I'd like to see is Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy 2 and 3, when it came out in America, was actually Final Fantasy 4 and 5 when they came out. I hate that happened, because that's annoying, and I hate having to explain that over and over again to people who don't know. Most of the people I know now do know, but like I expect most people that watch me would probably know if they're into games. But holy crap, why? Why'd you have to do that? Why can't you just go ahead, skip them, and then have just this interesting mystery of, what are the other games, though? What are they? And then eventually they come out. But I guess they're not that good at, a system of prestige. Something I'd like to see is, so Final Fantasy 4 and Final Fantasy 3, the real Final Fantasy 3, those two actually got remakes on the DS. Why hasn't Final Fantasy 6 gotten or has it? Has it gotten one? As far as I know, it hasn't. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I really want to see Final Fantasy 6 remade like Final Fantasy 7 was remade. I think it deserves it. Keep it an RPG element if you want. Keep it the same turn-based RPG. That's fine. I want to see it come to life. My god, the characters were so amazing in that. I can't believe that it doesn't have as much notoriety. It took you through so much back and forth. Oh, yeah, you get to change the entire world at some point. It's fucking insane, dude. Oh, more underrated games, right? So much. There's so much. And it deserves more. It really does. I don't know. Throw it in the chat. What are some games you think are underrated that should get a lot more notoriety and don't, even though they're claimed to be super friggin' awesome? I mean, could you imagine Super Mario World being redone? I guess effectively the Mario series is completely redone based on the Mario Maker, and anyone can make their dream Mario levels. I still think that's interesting. I have not played any Mario Maker. I wish I could, but I'm lazy and terrified of making a purchase that big to justify a game that I'm likely not able to play much right now. Oh, at some point I'll play more games, not just for the channel, but for myself. Right now, I've actually got Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 on my computer. I got it at Steam, and I got them both together for like $3.50. They were on sale for like 90% off or some shit. I was astounded and amazed. I want to play them. I'm thinking about streaming them because I don't want to just play them for myself. I want to play a game that I have no experience in, because that's where you get a lot of the best reactions to, like, holy shit, look what's going on. That's part of the reason why I'm testing out Myst, the puzzle game. I'm testing out Myst right now, streaming it, because I haven't played through the game before. I remember my dad playing it, but I myself have not gone through the game. It's just a puzzle game. You're supposed to figure out the puzzles, get some pages for these weird dudes, and then freeze something. They tell you not to do the other book. The red book guy says don't get the blue book guy's pages. Blue book guy says don't get the red book guy's pages. They're both arguing. You're trying to figure out what's going on this island, and I guess you're trying to get out, because I don't know who the character you're playing as is. I mean, but I think it's pretty interesting, because I'm actually having to figure things out. I don't already know the majority of what's going on, so I'm just filling up a whole bunch of dead air with nonsense. Because that's what all the games that are on my channel on the episodic series are right now. It's just I've played Chrono Trigger, I've played Super Metroid, I've played Breath of Fire. They're not going to get that interesting till I catch up to the points that now I don't know anything. And if I've beaten them, then it's even less likely. Like, I could probably do that with Metroid. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, because I haven't beaten that game, surprisingly. I've gotten pretty far into it, I've gotten to the Dark World, but I haven't gotten much past that. Just because I'm just lazy gamer, I guess. But there is a very different feel when I'm playing games for my channel and playing games for myself. When I'm playing games for myself, I tend to be a little more empty-headed. Like, I don't think about everything that's going on. I'm just kind of like casually playing. When I'm playing for the channel, I tend to try and be a little bit more thoughtful about what's going on, so I can actually approach a game understanding that people are going to watch it. And because I'm trying to go for like a Game Grumps style where it's mostly unedited, as far as like there's not many cuts in the game, in the gameplay, unless maybe I have to repeat something, which so far has only been by like accidentally not recording the damn thing or not saving. And that's why I try to alleviate anyway. And I really want to do more, but I'm hoping to get to a point after summer. Like I said earlier, upcoming plans, I'm hoping to help alleviate that. Alright, so I plan to continue talking about various stuff. I'm going to step away for a bit and give, I don't know, 15 minutes. 15-minute break sound good? I'll be back in 15. I'll probably resend various links. Maybe with any luck, someone will contact me, and maybe I can have someone jump on. Feel free to message me about it. So, if you need to get something to eat, get something to drink, go to the bathroom if you haven't already. Take care of yourself. We will be back in about 15 minutes. And we're back. Alright. So I guess we'll just leave off where we left off. What were we talking about? Various games. How awesome they are. Alright, got my tea. Keeping my hydration. All that jazz. Cool. How are you guys doing so far? I know this has been a long podcast, but I'm enjoying myself. How about you guys? Is there anything you thought about that I could possibly talk about? I can ad lib as much as I can. So my birthday is about half an hour from being officially over. I'd say today was alright. Today was pretty good. Today was awesome. Right when the clock struck 12 midnight this morning, way early in the deep early morning, my lovely lady decided she was gonna go ahead and give me my present. She got me some D&D figurines, which included a beholder whose body is actually metal, with detachable eye tentacles. And 4 other characters, one being a elven bard, a orc paladin, a human paladin, and I think a orc barbarian or a something like that. But yeah, now I have a few figurines for real. This is gonna be for D&D. Once I get a little bit better at being a DM, I get more interested in actually drawing out maps and terrain and stuff. It'll all be pretty fun and interesting. So far, it's been pretty hard to do. We are on our very first campaign together. The first campaign that I'm officially running, by the way. And it's the starter one. It's from the starter set. Mine's a Fandelver. Or Fandelver, whatever. Fandolin, whatever. And I've been having a lot of fun. I really have. And since I've been DMing it, starting from start to finish, we are actually very close to the end of it. Which is more than a lot of people can say, because a lot of people apparently didn't finish it, whether it was out of lack of interest, or they just wanted to move on to a different campaign. But since we live together, we're able to actually do it. So we are 3 people that live here, and I decided to use my own character that I had made for the game, and that's where I've been using to help kind of put the game where it needs to go. And probably shouldn't have done that, because at the end, that character's going to have to leave, and I'm going to have to figure out ways to change the game so that way it's not going to kill 2 characters. It's going to make it a little bit hard. Or maybe I'll continue by keeping the character and they just won't be a leader character. Because if I'm the DM and I know what's going on, but the character shouldn't know what's going on, it's a little hard to not metagame. So I'm gonna see if I can avoid that by maybe giving them another character or 2 that might interact better. Unfortunately, we're limited, but we're the only consistent group that we can be. I recently ordered a mic stand, one of those scissor mics. So hopefully that'll be coming in soon, because the stand I had for my mic originally is now broken on the ground somewhere. I haven't bothered picking shit up, and it sucks because I had to have my chair all the way down, which is uncomfortable. My mic is just leaning on its side. I've got the pop filter in front of it. I'm trying to make it work right, but I have to be a little bit closer necessarily because of the angle that it's at, so that way I can be heard properly. Like, it's about halfway up, but I have the volume at max. And used to, the volume at max was spiking in the red, and now it's like almost never touching yellow. It's like just before it. Just like, damn, man. Come on. So that, a graphics card eventually. It'll be awesome. Maybe one day I'll get into video game design if I actually can manage the time. I'd learn guitar to be better so I can, I don't know, maybe make my own intro music one day. Fucking, maybe be a fucking professional. Woohoo! Speaking of professionals, you wanna know who I think's pretty professional? Most of the people that came to the stream today. I'll go ahead and thank them. Big thank you to Jorgogo. You're an awesome creator. I like working with you. Grog Games, you're pretty awesome. You've gotten above 1,000 on your main channel, and I hope to see more from your Super Potion channel. I haven't seen much from Gooey Boy, but I have seen some of your pixel art, and it's pretty poppin'. It's pretty awesome. Someone tell him I said that. I've never seen Telion's Gaming unless you've changed your name at some point. So I'm not familiar with you, and thank you very much, Shadowstar, for being here. I know you personally, and you're a great guy, and I'm happy that you're now in my Discord server. Don't forget to read the rules and click the reaction to gain access to the rest of the server. Man, it's been over 2 hours and I've been able to maintain this consistent talking, and frankly, I've had to just ad-lib most of this shit off the top of my head. Just kind of go from tangent to tangent. I didn't expect I'd be able to maintain it like this, because when you're alone, it's really fucking hard. I was really hoping some people would jump on with me. That, however, is not the case. But I don't know. It could be pretty tough. Like I'm sure you guys have done it before, right? Where you're completely alone. You're not even playing with other players, but you're having to fill in the deep void so that way it's not just gameplay. Because if it's just gameplay, like if it was just a walkthrough video, that can be flagged apparently. Supposedly that can be flagged unless it's a not monetized walkthrough episode. If it's monetized, then it can be demonetized or something like that. I don't know. And definitely something to consider. Well, when you have to fill a void, you have to get your mind going on something. And I remember at the beginning, if you look at the first episodes of Chrono Trigger, just god awful because I'm just rambling about bullshit. Kind of like this, except this is kind of the area where I'm supposed to be doing it. The fucking show's called, the fucking podcast is S&G, and it stands for Shits and Giggles. We're just talking about something. This is a tangent podcast. Like that's exactly what it's for. Oh. Oh. And when trying to fill out time, and it's not like I'm playing, like right now I'm not playing a game. I guess I can. I could play a game. If it gets to the point where I'm running out of topics, but I still want to be on stream, I can throw a game on and go, alright, we'll just play this and shoot the shit. Maybe I'll do that. Preferably the format of the show is meant to have guests. Unfortunately, today is Wednesday. Yeah, today is Wednesday, and most people tend to work on Wednesday, and a lot of them are working right now on Wednesday. So it's kind of hard to keep up with people. And my schedule, I'm off Monday, Tuesday, which is where a lot of people are fucking working. So it can be a goddamn nightmare. Also, right now, a lot of my chaps in England are probably about to wake up here in about 15 minutes. Maybe they'll jump on for a hot minute and help me talk about bullshit. So, how about this? I've only wrote down a few topics to see where it goes from there. I've pretty much covered what I was going to cover. So let's talk about consoles. You guys like consoles, right? Various consoles, old consoles, retro consoles, new consoles, and I don't know, center consoles in your car, maybe. Consoles are pretty amazing, what they've become today. Like the Switch. The Switch is severely underpowered, and it does such amazing stuff. It's crazy. It does so much. I did not expect that, well, or at least when I found out that it was severely underpowered, I never expected it to be able to do that much. Like, come on. How do you even? I couldn't believe that shit. I thought it was. I mean, I guess it's still technically the most powerful console Nintendo has, but Jesus Christ, it does all sorts of crap. Like it's so underpowered. It does all that. How? How even? And then you find out, well, the PS2 is the PS2 or the PlayStation 4. There we go. Sorry, I was saying PS2. I guess because I grew up with that one. The PS4 that came out, and now the PS5. It's super powerful, supposedly. One of the good things is, supposedly, if you have the PS5, you can play any game all the way back to PS1, supposedly. I don't know if there's something you have to get as far as software in order to be able to play those games or not, but hopefully they remain true to being able to actually play all those games. Because a lot of people still have functioning copies of the majority of the games that they have. That's where I find myself getting kind of confused. Is why wouldn't you ever have? Why would you ever not want to have a console that always goes backwards and plays the previous games? Now it's different if you use different mediums, sort of like how the Switch went from CDs to cartridges. But PlayStation and Xbox have always fucking been CDs. They've always been discs, the Blu-rays, dual layer discs and shit. That's how they've always been. If they're all the discs, make it backwards compatible. Just do it. It's in your best interest, I promise you. Oh, you want to talk about something annoying? Is trying to get on the 360 and everyone's like, oh yeah, you can play Xbox games on your Xbox 360. And they're like, okay, how do I do that? Well, you gotta log in online first and shit and do that, all that, and download the thing. And then you can't find the thing because the fucking servers are down. So you're just running around like, I can't play the old Halo game that someone let me borrow, so I'm just stuck in stasis forever until I can just either get a fucking Xbox or something, or I got Half-Life 2, on goddamn Xbox. I just want to play it, see what the hell all the hype's about, because everyone tells me it's a good fucking great game. Although I'm aware most of the games I can get now, I can actually get on Steam, so that can alleviate a lot of that, but nevertheless, I still wish that worked, because I didn't always have this. I didn't always have the ability to do this. So, I mean, there's that. And when it comes to consoles, I've been a Nintendo boy. I am just the Nintendo fanboy. It's what I've done all along. I've always been enamored with Nintendo. Just in general, like Nintendo's that's what makes my dick rock hard. And the Super Nintendo is probably what sold me for wanting the GameCube, wanting the Wii, wanting the N64. Never got that one, and then eventually wanting the Switch. Except the Wii U, I never gave a shit about the Wii U. I'm sorry, I don't care. The Wii U, completely worthless to me. Overall, to me, it was a waste of a console that could have had a lot better potential. I think they could have utilized it so much better. But they didn't. They didn't, and it's about as blatant as it could possibly be. And that's what's disappointing. That's something that was disappointing. It's like, come on. It seemed like a cop-out to go ahead and get a console out while the other companies were getting consoles out. And I really don't think it needed that. Maybe if you made an updated Wii, sort of like how we're getting an updated Switch, maybe that'd be fine. But you made it a whole new console, and not everything worked on that console. And by that, I mean, it wasn't like it was just another Wii. There was more to it. You know, you had that little pad thing that was added to it. And honestly, a part of that was getting sick of having so many fucking devices to have to deal with. And now you're like, oh, god damn it. It was interesting that with the Wii U, oh, now you have the handheld version of that same game. You can take it up and take it with you. Which was the start of how we got the Switch. The Switch is like a perfected version of what the Wii U was supposed to be. I still think, even though the Wii U basically paved the way for the Switch, I still feel like it was just... For one thing, it's overrated to me. I didn't get a chance to play it, but it seemed like such a cop-out. It didn't last very long. And my god, it could have been so much more. It could have been better. And the fact that there was Wii U exclusives kind of pisses me off. I don't like games for the same company being exclusive to a certain console. Sort of like, you know, imagine if all the Super Nintendos always stayed Super Nintendo exclusives and could never be for any other system. You could never get Final Fantasy 3, which is actually Final Fantasy 6, ever again. That's just it. Unless they make an entire remake. I guess the other side of that coin is it would incentivize particular remakes and remasters. And those would technically be different. But nevertheless, I think the point still stands. Be better about your consoles. It just didn't feel like the Wii U had as much care as it did with the Switch or the Wii itself. You know, it seemed like it was supposed to be an extension, and it could play Wii games at the very least. And that wasn't bad. It had the backwards compatibility for the discs. I don't think it was able to play GameCube games, however. They didn't have it to where you could put in the slots. And that's probably another part at where a lot of people were pissed off, because now you had the Switch, which was backwards compatible to the GameCube. The only reason why the GameCube wasn't compatible for the N64 is because it went from cartridges to these little half CDs, which, by the way, contained a fuckload of shit per disc, or could anyway, because I remember playing Tales of Symphonia. It was insanely long and insanely big. I was so surprised when it took me 140 hours to beat a game that was split between two discs that were half the size, that were basically slightly bigger than those mini donuts. Son of a bitch, that's insane! I am still surprised by that. Oh. Backwards compatibility is important. If the Wii U was able to play regular Wii games, it should have still been able to play and have access to adapters for the sake of GameCube games. I feel very strongly about it. Had that been the case, it would have been a lot more appealing to me. Oh, excuse me. Just imagine that. Anything that wouldn't be backwards compatibility, that wouldn't maintain backwards compatibility. That's kind of where you go back and look at the integrity of a company, isn't it? Like, you can look back and go, hey, guys, just let us play the previous games on the newer console. Ideally, it should work better under normal circumstances. If it's new, it should be fine. If it's a different medium, you get that leeway. It's like, I don't know. Sony had all CDs, they were all the same size, and they could all be read basically by a very similar reader. They just had to have the right decoder or whatever. Which I believe was just software. I think the fact that they made the PS Classic was functionally a waste. For one thing, you only had 20 games? You get 20 games on this, and that's all you get to have? Come on. That thing is pretty big compared to the amount of data that could house games. You could house hundreds of PS1 games on that fucker. And you're going to deny access to them. And it's not even like you had the top 20. Some of them were obscure and you didn't know what the fuck they were. Probably everyone generally knew them. People generally knew most of those titles, but some of them were obscure. Some of them were out of left field or some shit. Where do you go from there? Where the fuck do you go from there? You expand the amount of games you have. My god, that's all you had to do. You could have put 120 games. It's not all the games, but it would have been perfectly fine, because then you would have hit a lot more of the gems that were missing on it initially. In fact, talking about the PS Classic, that was pushed out and rushed out so fucking quickly that when it came out, and this is what I was told, when it came out, Sony did not put a system key in. If you don't know what that's all about, when you syskey something, you have to be able to have that code or that password in order to get in. Generally, you can't get into anything with a syskey because that's what's supposed to lock you out from manipulating what's inside. Most systems, I believe, are syskeyed. There are ways around it, certainly, but generally it's a pain in the ass, from what I'm told. So, if you're looking at the PS Classic that doesn't have a syskey, you can walk all over inside it. You can open it right up, put in files, take out files. So what a lot of people have done is they've bypassed it, put on new software, and loaded it up with tons of games. Games that people actually want to fucking play. That weren't originally on the original 20 or whatever. And, it's a shame that that had to happen. I mean, for fuck's sake, the Super Nintendo. If you didn't change anything about the size of the games, you can house all of them on a gig. Do you know how easy it would be for Nintendo to put all the games they're legally allowed to on a single console? If they just made the Super Nintendo Classic with all the games, and I think they had 60? Which is decent. I mean, it's fucking way better than 20. But you can have all of them. If I look at how big the games are right now, they'll max out at maybe 40 megs. That's infinitesimally tiny. Killa, Mega, Giga, now Terra. I mean, you really want to go out there and you want to have all the proper software and everything, you might need, I don't know, 8 gigs. 8 gigs of memory. of storage. And then you can make sure that it plays functionally perfect. And all you need them is ROMs. If they're all ROMs, which by the way run fast as fuck, you can just do that. Just do that. Run the ROMs. It's instantaneous. The time loading is shorter than almost any transition from scene to scene. It works incredibly fast. It's all solid state, so it's not like you have to worry about too many moving parts. The only moving parts, basically, is going to be the on switch. What were some of the other buttons? I think there was a pause switch where you could basically pause the actual game entirely, separately. I think there was a save state. So there's that, and there's the controller and the ports for them. Those are the only parts that will move. Well, then I guess the ports for the back where you put in your power and your HDMI cord out to the TV or whatever device you're putting it into. That would be really simple. That would be super easy to do. And my god, it's in theory it's super easy to do because you can do that on the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi, which has RetroPie software, and you can basically have tons and tons of games. All the retro games, like you can have PS2 games, and if you have a controller that's adaptable, you can fucking use it. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Why can't they do that? They should be able to do that. It would be really good. It would be awesome. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of missed opportunities because they're worried about making money or giving too much of a product away. And I think that's biting them in the ass. Because I guarantee these classic consoles would have sold a lot more, especially as gifts for other people, you know, relative to how many people can afford it. They would have been great. In fact, you probably could have charged more money than it was worth. Like you could have had every game on Super Nintendo and sold it for $120, even though it probably should have still only been like $90, even though it was sold at $60, whatever. You could have done that, and it would have been completely valid in the minds of the people. I would fully have supported that, and I would probably have one right fucking now, and I would keep my old Super Nintendo on a shelf to let it rest. I love my Super Nintendo, but it is old and doesn't work as well as it used to. One of the things I want to do with my old consoles is I want them to be able to be basically I want to put them on shelves that now they're out of commission, now I'm not using them, and I really want to I want to create an atmosphere where I have a lot of appreciation for my gaming history. For example, I have had 2 GameCubes over the years. I had a black GameCube, that was my first one, and when it stopped working, I eventually got another one. And that one now sits atop above my bed, on top of the shelf. And I have a deep appreciation for it because the GameCube was one of my favorite consoles. To me, I think that was an underrated console. I want to see more of it. There's so many games that I wish I could play that I will never be able to even touch because they're either way too fucking expensive or way too hard to find. Unless I just happen upon them at like a yard sale or a pawn shop or at a flea market or some shit. Or someone that doesn't understand what they're selling. God forbid it be in any decent condition. Because let's face it, one of the big worries about getting games from other people is, are they in any good condition? Now, I don't know how other people value games, but it's hard for me to justify the cost of a game when it's like $60, and I know I'm probably not gonna have that much time to play it anymore. If I was younger, and I realized that I wanted to do things on YouTube, I would have started way, way earlier. I would have been learning in fucking middle school if I knew. And I mean, middle school for me was after YouTube had started getting popular. And honestly, it probably would have been later than just that. It would have been when gaming YouTubers kind of started up. Probably a few years after Game Grumps had really gotten popular. Game Grumps, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye. After they got popular is when I should have started. Because then I could have really cornered something. And I guess you can say I have regrets for that, but I mean, it's not worth worrying about now. So I'm gonna continue on doing this as I will, because right now we have so much shit to worry about as far as just trying to get our name out there. I mean, I'm sitting at 264 subscribers, and I know right now I'm not making much content. I'm doing this podcast right now, and I'm doing a stream every Monday night. But it's not a very opportune time. It's only convenient for me. It's not convenient for other people, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to alleviate as much as I can. And at some point, maybe I'll start doing some after work streams, since I get home at like 11:30 my time. And I can try and see if I can't do something about that. It'll be fucking cool. And I gotta be honest, it does my heart some good when it really does my heart good when I can see other people grow, even if they fucking they're like, uh, I don't know, Jorgo, fucking beating me out in subs, even though I started way higher than him initially, and then now he's passed me. I mean, it sucks for me, but I'm proud of him. I'm really proud that I was really proud when Sega Head got over 1,000. When I noticed Grog was over 1,000, that was fucking amazing. They passed from Graph, and a lot of people that we know passed from Graphite level YouTubers to Opal level YouTubers, being the damn cat, fucking hell. Becoming Opal, passing the threshold of 1,000 subscribers, and that's amazing. Now it's a lot harder to do that now because once you're actually able to have ads, that's when YouTube is like, all right, let's push this content a little bit more, and you get that boost. You do, and I want that boost. I want it. But I mean, that's what makes effort. So when they changed the stipulation where you had to have 4,000 hours of watch time a year, and you had to have at least 1,000 subscribers, that was a double-edged sword. So for a lot of us, it sucked because now we're pushed that much further down in the algorithms because it's going to favor us that much less. However, if you are really genuine in what you're trying to do, you're going to go for it. You're going to fucking go after it as much as you can. Within reason, I guess, because I'm sure if you have a great job, you're probably not going to be worried about quitting a particular job unless you're actually making enough money that you're willing to take the risk. And yes, and I mean that's a long time away from here, but you hit that point where they're doing that, and you realize a lot of other people are going to stop. Generally speaking, those people are going to be the ones that they were making watered down content, if you will. You know, it's like they weren't just trying to be like Game Grumps or emulate the Game Grumps style. They were trying to be Game Grumps. Like, they're doing all the same jokes as if it's them. They're doing the same style, doing the same humor, and they're trying to pull off their charm. I probably that's the most important thing, is they're trying to pull off their charm, but you can't. It's their charm. It's not yours. You have to make up your own charm. It's fucking. You can't just. They don't understand. I remember when I was on DOC Gaming, and it was interesting because back then the what we got to look at as far as there was a recommended, not the recommended tab. When we looked under it, and we saw a lot of the similar content of people doing like the same game that we were playing or whatever. For example, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, great game, I highly recommend it. They play that game, and they've already gone through the whole fucking game. So you look back and you see, I don't know, they got like 47 videos for that game, or they're maybe 25 videos in. So you start looking at them, and then you go like, oh shit, they have like 300 subscribers. Then you start looking at the views per video, and you see, oh, no views, 2 views, 1 view, 3 views, no views, 5 views, no views, 11 views, 52 views, 0 views, 0 views, no views, no views. Just repeatedly like that, like tons of no views. And that's something I want to be very careful of and try to avoid. I have been very fortunate that every video I have has been viewed by more than just me. I don't think I have a single video that has just 1 view. I can't appreciate that enough. I don't have any videos that say no views. And honestly, everyone should at least watch a little bit of their video after they put it out on YouTube to make sure it works right. I ran into a handful of times where, for whatever reason, even though it was perfectly fine on my end, when it uploaded, it was fucked up. Why was it fucked up? Hello, cat. Hello, cat. What are you doing? Oh, cat. But yeah, it'd be fucked up. So, and there's been very few times, but I have had to delete and re-upload a video because for some reason it was fucked up. Not all of it I was able to fix. For example, I had a few where the audio just kind of cut out, but that was on Audacity's side. I don't know what the hell happened, but when I loaded it, it was like bits and pieces of audio were just fucking gone. I had to scrap like a few videos because of that shit. Luckily, it wasn't too bad because there wasn't much progress in it, so it was alright. It was alright. Definitely gonna try to avoid that whenever possible. Strongly recommend avoiding everything you can as far as things that get screwed up. Which, easier said than done, surprisingly. Just, I don't know, it's a weird situation. You try, and I'm in a situation where I'm terrified about making videos right now. I really want to make more. I want to make more edited content. Eventually I will. If I don't get far the whole time I'm on YouTube, then so be it. But I really want to hit past that 1,000 subscriber mark. That will be so fucking epic. Because once I hit that, I will hit where I can actually monetize my channel, and I can start looking at AdSense. And then I get to experiment with that and learn a whole new slew of shit. I have to learn how advertising works as far as letting ads on my videos, or maybe even doing sponsorships. I really want to learn it. I really do. And that's probably what keeps me driving, is because I want to know more about how the hell YouTube works. No one person is going to know all of it. It's always changing, and even if you did know all of it, it'll change next fucking week. It's just bet on it. It'll be different next week. Oh man. Anyone still there? Hearing me ramble? Oh. YouTube's a beast. YouTube really is a beast. You know, it's really interesting when you get to hear other people's perspectives. Such as when you hear the bigger YouTubes talk about the problems they've had where they get shadow banned. Where, like, you have, like, controversial content or something like that, and it seems like, you know, if my videos are regular, they should be getting at least a little bit more notoriety than this on a regular basis. My videos don't seem like they're being pushed, even though very similar content, but on the other side, is getting pushed just fine. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. You okay? Love you. Oh yeah. YouTube. I would recommend anyone should try YouTube. Just try it. Bless you. Catherine is sneezing a lot. Oh no, cat, stop trying to take my damn headphones. Jesus. Alright. Now with YouTube, it's been really interesting. Have you seen some of the competitors that could have been? I remember when VidMe was a thing, or vid.me. When that was a thing, I tried it. And apparently I tried it way late in the game, because it was gone like 2 months later. And like I had a few views. And what I was planning to do was I was going to go ahead and see if I couldn't upload every single one of my videos up to a point, or maybe all of them. And I only had like 70 at the time. I could have done it fairly consistently while still making more content, but it would have been like, oh, every day I can have a video until I'm caught up. And I would have had like 3 months of content every day. And I was like, cool. And then it was just gone. And I was like, well, fuck me. One of the things I was really interested in is giving YouTube a competitor. I very desperately want more competitors for YouTube, so that way YouTube is forced to be put in a position where it has to become a better platform for the people that that the creators, for it to be a good platform for the creators. My God, it's insane, right? You want this platform, you want the creators to be engaging in this platform, but there's plenty of people that are like, well, YouTube's kind of shitty at times, not, but they're currently the best. But what if it was better? Well, it can be. It'll take time, like anything else. But VidMe could have been that. VidMe could have been that place. But then shit got involved, and then it was like, oh, well, guess not. It's gonna fuck off now. And then it was like, oh, okay, well then, sure. And there's been a handful since then. No, don't step on my keyboard. Fuck. Ass. Why? Why you gotta do? No, I don't want to save to OneDrive. Fuck OneDrive. I've got Google Drive. I've got hard drives, and they're solid state. Fuck you. I do what I want. Goddamn cat. Chill. Chill. Oh boy. You know when you have a hard time getting a good handle on your pussy? This is one of those times. Whew. Now, I gotta be honest, I find it hard for me to be interested in watching stream format overall. Which is ironic because I'm streaming right now. But after having streamed for several weeks in a row, it's interesting from the streamer point of view instead of the stream watcher, stream viewer. This creates a neat environment. And normally the problem I have is I just don't have the fucking time. I don't have the time to spend for several hours, or up to several hours. I would think maybe I have time for maybe 20 minutes at the most. And that's how it used to be. Used to, like, I got like half an hour lunch, I got like 20 minutes to watch something. Let me watch a 15-minute video and then I gotta go. And that's what it was. Now I have more time. I have more time to use. I have more time that I can watch stuff. So I've had times where, oh shit, I have looked at other people's streams for a decent length of time, and it's been really cool. No, 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 leave the cord alone. It's been really cool. It's I like being able to interact with people. I really do. That's one of the things I really like when right at the beginning of the stream, a lot of people kind of jumped on for a hot minute, and I mean they're all gone now. No, no, no! Stop trying to get the screen, the cord. Stop trying to get the cord. Stop trying to get the cord. I have a kitten. I have a kitten, and I'm having a hard time. And now you're licking my nose. That's your stream. That's your stream now. I've lost my train of thought. Shit. Oh. I need to play more video games. I need to make more videos. I want to see all my YouTube friends get further. I mean, I've it's I really have looked at what success is to me, and I find myself looking at what I have now, and I'm not sure if I'd call myself successful right now or not. I mean, I have a job where I'm making $36 an hour now, but I'd rather be doing YouTube full time if I could, but I can't justify that. I'm not making near enough money where I could look at, okay, if I just did it full time, then I have the time to do all of it. I mean, I don't even make money as it is now, so how the fuck am I going to justify it otherwise? But I'd really I really wouldn't mind doing that. Part of it is that like I said earlier, I want that experience. That, and it'd be nice to actually be able to finish some games for once. Like, how many times have you walked around trying to just finish a game, but you have work, you have obligations, you have to adult? I'm sick and tired of adulting. I've adulted so much. I've been adulting ever since tax season, like non-stop. That's part of the reason why I haven't been doing anything online as far as like edited content, is because I decided to finish what I had and then deal with a bunch of other shit. And I wasn't supposed to be on hiatus this long. I really wasn't. But now I have a new roof. I just recently, I think I have my taxes fixed. I've done some work on the house. I'm about to get married in like 4 or 5 days. I'm 28 now. I'm a whole another age older. I'm an old fogey. God damn it. We're almost done with the small campaign that we started with like a year ago or whatever. Now we've gotten a consistent schedule. I mean, a bunch has happened, and then sometimes it feels like there's nothing that's happened. Like, the fuck, man. Holy shit. I just want to play video games and make videos. And maybe play guitar. And maybe learn how to design games and shit. And maybe get a hug or two. I guess part of I really want to collab with more people. I really do. Why don't I? Well, part of it's anxiety, and the other part is I'm terrified of not being able to make enough time for them, for me to complete the part that I need to complete for their videos. I don't want to expect anyone to feel like they have to rush for me, so I never make a video that's going to require like them to do a lot of stuff in any particular amount of time. Um, just imagine it. I'm trying to do a collab with someone, or I want to do a collab with someone, but I'm like, fuck, I have to go to work between this time and this time, and then most of the time I'm out doing this, and I don't have time, and then when I'm at home, I should be doing this, but I'm not, and so like it's just one of those endless cycles of I'm not doing anything, but I need to do shit, so I don't want to do anything that makes anyone else feel obligated to do a particular thing. So definitely, like for this S&G podcast, this is something I'd like to be able to do because it's off the cuff. I don't have to worry about editing. I just have to make sure that this main hub right here is fine. And I need to do something so that way, I don't know, so that way I can make some better visualization. So that way, I don't know, maybe something like my head caption is up in the top left corner, and then other people that. Jesus, cat, why? No, no, ah, naughty, naughty, naughty. Damn, stepping on the keyboard. Why don't you avoid the buttons? Jerk. You didn't even spell anything. Oh. Well, yeah, I get a ton of anxiety trying to do that because I don't want anyone to feel obligated because I don't have much time, or at least I don't feel like I have much time. I always feel like there's a ton of shit to do, whether there's actually anything to do or not, and then I end up stewing in my own mental state, and then not getting anything accomplished. I hate that about myself. I hate it immensely. But hopefully one day that'll come to pass and I'll change and I'll actually be doing something. Probably I just need to actually write shit down. Um, that's best I can think of is I just need to actually write shit down. At some point, when I do get more comfortable and I do have more leeway, and right now most of it is like, we need to redo some of our bathroom stuff. Big things. I need to power wash the house. So that way it doesn't look like there's a bunch of black mold everywhere. I need to fix some holes in the ground or in the floor. So that way I don't have to worry about someone falling through, although it's unlikely as it be. You know, things like that. I got fucking roaches that I'm trying to get rid of. You know, just shit like that. Shit like that. And that takes up a lot of my mental state. It's like, all right, and then if some, God forbid, I hear something different in my car, that I'm like, oh shit, that's not a comfortable sound. I don't want to hear that. Oh God, what's going on with my car? So it's trying to afford time, and I could probably afford a lot more if I worked more overtime. And that's another thing. Like sometimes I work overtime and I have even less time to do shit. And right now, overtime is just all over the place. There's tons of overtime, and I'm on odd work week. We barely ever get overtime. They're still doing that. My God. I think there. I'm on vacation right now. I'm not answering my fucking phone, but I'm pretty sure that that my crew is on overtime right now. My boss actually texted me telling me to tell my crew about it, and I'm thinking, the hell, man? You know, you approved my vacation. I'm not getting paid for that. Technically, I don't even think we're supposed to have each other's numbers. I don't even think we're supposed to have phones. Technically, on the or outside on work hours. But in any case, I mean, phones make it a lot easier to get work done. But in any case, like, what the hell? But yeah, overtime is a pain in the ass. You know, that means I have less time. That means it's normally if it's on a day I'm already working, it's an extra 4 hours. And then if it's on a day I'm not working, then that means my whole day's fucked. And normally it's both days. So I'll be working for fucking 12 days straight, and it's a pain in the goddamn ass. Don't get me wrong, it's a ton of money. Oh god. Oh, that hurts. Don't get me wrong, it's a ton of money. It's like another $1,000. But I value my time. I value my time immensely. So I tend to play it ear by ear. So if it's ever voluntary, likely I won't take it unless there's something that we're trying to get. Like a service or something. But that takes away time. Time that I don't get to have making videos or playing video games, things I actually want to do. I always like to think of having a job is paying for you to live your life now and a little bit in the future. Because, you know, like, there's some of these guys out here, they work all the fucking time. They work every bit of overtime they can. I'm not about that. I'm just not. Because I'll be working. I don't want to be working so much that I don't get to live my life as I am now. Because I don't get time back. We don't get time back, and that's where the finality of life really sets in. It's like I need this to be here. I need this to be the important thing in my life, and that's what I'm doing. You know, there's a lot of these guys, and the job I have will, in time, let me afford a lot more. So there is that much, even though the fucking overtime is mandatory. Nevertheless, I mean, I get a lot more time in general. Where I was working, I might be working fucking 16 hours for a couple days straight, doing manual labor for shit pay. Oh, fuck that. If I can help it, I will never go back. Fucking customer service jobs and shit. They will destroy a good worker. Ooh. And like I said, one of the things I want to do with my life is play video games, make videos, and make the happiest life I can. And I love talking about games and stuff. I love talking about other people's videos. There's a lot of people I know who have great videos. Kaltuna makes videos. She wants to get back into making them, and I want to help teach her how to make those. I want to teach her how to edit and everything, because I think she has a pretty good voice for creepypasta and stuff. And there's other shit she wants to talk about. Hell, I think she'd probably be great for streaming. Myself, well, of course, I like doing a bunch of this shit. Ooh, ooh, it's coming up, Bernie. Ooh, um, I definitely, I only have like 170 odd videos. Come on, cat. Come on. Ugh. Stop messing with me wires. Whew. So, I don't know, just imagine. You're in a place where you can do whatever you want. You will need to have some kind of income, but it's okay. You have 5 years of leeway, but you don't have where you don't even have to necessarily do anything. So you can do anything you want. I would spend most of that time probably making videos and playing games and whatever it takes to keep my house going, to make sure that I'm living healthy and stuff. Not including like shit like doctors and dentists and whatever deals with fucking insurance. Could you imagine you don't have to go to a workplace and it's so much easier to deal with? I don't know. Fucking whatever. Oh. Too bad talking about video games. I like video games a lot. Wanna know what's great about video games? Emulators. Technically. You probably shouldn't use emulators, but a lot of people do. Because there's some games you don't have access to otherwise. And honestly, Nintendo should capitalize on making a licensed emulator that you can buy for like $10, and then okay, you can buy games pennies on the dollar. Like these games have this many licenses, so that'll be like 50 cents, or this one's gonna be like 10 cents. These are shitty unlicensed, I don't know, Bible games, 2 cents or something. If you made it like that, that would be fucking awesome. And they could. It's sort of like how you can get Raspberry Pi, an emulator device, and get tons of games for it. Like I mentioned earlier, you can just have that. You don't have to pay anything extra once you get the device. But if you really wanted to get more money out of people, that's how you could do it. And people would probably feel justified. And it's like, all right, I'll get the emulator for, I don't know, $20 and 10 or $20, and then I'll put in like $10 for getting games. So the least amount, maybe you'll get 10 games. The most you might get is like, I don't know, 100, depending on what games you want to get. And also, it would help keep things selective, so that way, hey, someone wants a game, they can get the game they want, and not have to worry about any fucking games they don't want. So that way he doesn't feel. Oh, excuse me. It doesn't feel like they're paying for games they don't want. Sort of like how when you get satellite, you're paying for a bunch of channels you don't want. I'll be right back. Let me get an acid. In just a moment. Hmm. Alright. Damn. Fucking dying over here. I'm pretty sure it's heartburn. And I don't know why. Well, not exactly. I think I just have too acidic food overall. I'm not sure. But I definitely have a problem where every time I burp, I can feel all the burn. It's a little better now, but damn. Hmm. Hey, Beast Wizard, what's going on? I am just talking about whatever bullshit comes to mind. I just had to step away and get some antacids because it was all acidic feeling and burny. I was just talking about emulators and how it would be interesting if they could be licensed and sold from, like, if Nintendo made a licensed emulator for like $10, 10 or $20. Just you're paying for the software, and then you pay for games like pennies on the dollar. Like the most of the shittiest games would be like 2 cents or something, and like the most expensive a game would be is like $1. So you spend some money, you get some games, and then eh, you know, just like it gives you the chance you don't feel like you're paying for games, and they still make they still make profit because, let's face it, they're always constantly trying to make profit. All right, how you doing? Not much. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thanks so much. Doing anything fun? Yeah, I'd say so. Let's see. Right when the clock struck 12, at the very start of the 14th, my lovely, lovely wife-to-be decided to go ahead and give me my presents, which was some D&D figurines. She got me, one of them was a blue beholder that has removable eye tentacle things. The actual body's made of metal, and there's other figurines like an elfin bard, a orc barbarian, an orc paladin, and a human paladin, I believe. So that was really cool. Then we actually went to bed. When we woke up, we got some stuff together. Later on in the day, we went to her parents, and we had a little wedding / birthday party. We had some decent food. We had a cake. We took home most of the cake, and we played some wedding games that yielded some hilarious results. Older games should definitely be way cheaper. Yeah, definitely. Like, why would you have the ability to have games from years ago and still want, $20 a pop or something? Like earlier, I was talking about how bullshit it was that I think the PlayStation Classic, I believe that had like 20 games, and then I think like the Super Nintendo, I think it had like 60. But like, for example, the Super Nintendo games were so goddamn small. Like there may be like what, 5 megabytes? Are they painted or are you going? Oh yeah, they're already painted. Yeah, they're already painted, and they're also metal, which is pretty cool. But so the Super Nintendo, those games are like what, 5 megabytes at most. A lot of them are less than that. You could put all those games and the software to run them as RAMs, all solid state, and still be able to have controllers. You could do that not only cheap, but with like 8 gigs, and still have every game that you could possibly have for the Super Nintendo. Why? Why don't they do that? They could easily profit by having that. Hell, and they could even feel justified selling that at maybe even $120 if you have every game. I mean, I'd probably have it right now if it had all the games. Because at least that way, if you're only doing the one-time payment, you have all the games. You don't have to worry about, well, shit, it doesn't have this particular game. And then how the PS Classic was even worse, because it was $100, and you had only 20 games, and some of them were just obscure things that you'd never put your hands on. And since they rushed it out so much, they never put in a sys key. So you can walk all inside that shit. You can manipulate it so that way you can get more jump drives and just fill that bitch up with tons of games. Just tons of games. Which someone has done for me, so don't tell anyone. Metal, time to throw some monsters at your players. They roll for damage, IRL. Yeah, no kidding. Fucking Beholder's gonna be like throwing a giant metal die, which I also have. I'm a bit of a dice goblin. Actually, that's something I haven't talked about today. I haven't talked much about D&D. Well, I talked a little bit about how we were running campaign together. So we've been running Minds of Fandelver, or Fandelver, whatever. Which has been fun. We're actually almost at the end of that. We're almost at the end of the campaigns. The first campaign I fully DM'd, and I've done a few one-shots here and there, but beginnings are interesting. I mean, it's kind of generic, and that's fine when you start. You gotta start somewhere when you're in a campaign. You gotta get the players to introduce each other, themselves, or whatever. Or find some way to get them to come together. But it's really interesting to be this far into a campaign. The last couple sessions we did had a lot more heavy role-playing, and we're trying to get the fundamentals. I'm running this first campaign as a no-death campaign, so if it comes to it, and because it's for the sake of learning how to play both from me as a DM and from them as players, and then after that, death is possible. And then we're going to get into like other mechanics of the games, maybe being a little bit more specific, such as, you know, like if you might be dying, you gotta start throwing death saves, you know, stuff like that. But once that won't be until after we beat this campaign. Whereas otherwise I'll go ahead and make some kind of MacGuffin that'll come in, but I don't think we'll have a problem. So the ending of it is rated at level 3 and 4, and all the 3 characters at level 3. Unfortunately, I'm one of the characters, so I have to DM and play that character, which means I have to play that character in the back, basically, because I can't. I have to be very careful not to metagame. Definitely agree that there should be official emulators. They're losing a bunch of money, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. The fucking latency must. What's my latency? Jesus Christ. Stream settings. No. Stream latency. Normal latency. Damn it. Does it affect me if I have ultra low latency on my side? I need to remember to look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Those are my players. Fiance and wife, roommate. Yeah. So those are the 2 players, and I'm also using a player sheet. But I keep my character in the back, and I only let that character lead something if they're having a hard time figuring something particular out. I have to be real careful not to metagame. Latency is like, damn, dude, Jesus. For some reason I have it on normal latency. I thought I had it at least on low latency. I need to figure out if it actually makes any difference. I don't know why you'd want the different set. I don't know. It seems like you'd want the ultra low latency, or as low as it can get. And I don't know if it differs between the connection or not. I actually do not have a hard line into my PC. I actually had to get an external adapter from Netgear Adapters, so that way I could Wi-Fi my computer. So I wonder if that also has something to do with it. But I'm thinking when we do another campaign, I'm gonna try and make it to where they're playing alone. One of the characters, my wife's character, has adopted a goblin from the previous campaign, and After this, we're going to create a character sheet. And I'm also going to have them create new characters in case their characters die. As a player, what are your thoughts on the DM? Priority throw figures at... Yeah. This is what happens. This is what happens when you go so far off from the campaign, it's so derailed, there's no fixing it now, and the DM doesn't want to deal with it anymore. You get figurines thrown at you, and then you have to retcon half the campaign that they've, or half the things they've done. Oh god. So put that in D&D horror stories. That actually probably wouldn't be as bad as some of the ones we've heard. I mean, good god. I guess I could do that one day. I could do a stream where I'm talking D&D horror stories and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I would make that normal edited content or not. But that'd be interesting. What's it like over here? No death campaign? Time to do bonkers things. Yeah. Well, so, like, we're all fairly new to D&D. And I became a DM by necessity because our previous DM is doing work out to Michigan, way up north. And unfortunately, that means he's not around to DM campaigns when we're actually able to play. So he taught us the basics, showed us some guidelines. We tend to play fun over rule, and I decided I wanted this to be a no-death campaign just for the sake of we're learning it, and I'm introducing new concepts each session. We have, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hour sessions with a couple 20-minute breaks. And I mean, there has been some bonkers things. In fact, just because of how things lined up, you know how rolls just seem to do some weird shit? Like, just so happens that when I'm rolling this character, always gets really low numbers. Let's see what happens. How low can it go, and what could possibly happen? So, there's a room where there's a bunch of brigands, which I guess are basically like us, or ruffians. There you go, Red Brand ruffians, and they're basically, I guess, kind of like stronger bandits, maybe. I don't know, but there was 4 of them. We're in a narrow space, and it was. I'm way in the back. I'm a Dragonborn fighter, so I can't do shit. Everything's in front. Everyone's in front of me. I can't swing a sword. I can't shoot anything because I might hit someone if I, try to shoot. So there's only one person out there. Well, one of these ruffians does so bad in the rolls. And these were legit rolls, too. I wasn't fudging anything. What happened was, he ended up killing one of his own. He crit failed, trying to swing at a character, and because he was at the side, he swung and hit him, and eventually killed him. And he has multi-attack, but he didn't use the multi-attack when he hit his own character, because why would you attack twice on a character that fucking, But we decided that it got to the point where we had pretty much everyone else taken care of, and we wanted to see. So one of the characters threw a rope onto him, and he had to do a save. In fact, I even had her character roll just to make sure she threw the rope just right. Not only did she get like a 19, the save, which I think was dexterity, uh, was a nat 1. And I was only doing a DC 5. That's what I was doing. I couldn't believe it. So he got tied up by himself by having a rope thrown on him, and he got tangled up in it. And we started joking that now it's also in a nice, perfect bow. It was insane. It was just because of the numbers. All right. Could set up a podcast audio recording if players agree. Fun over rules can be nice. More so with crits. Yeah, I agree. Mainly because we want to enjoy the experience. We don't want to focus too much on rules, and we're just trying to have fun. We're not being particularly serious like I think the League is. Just use breath attack. So the breath attack is poison as well. I'm a green dragonborn that yields poison. So that's that would affect us for a while. Make a rope saving throw. Yes, pretty much. Saving throw. And he failed. I did a roll for him, and she did a roll for throwing the rope. Just because it couldn't line up like this, could it? Could it? It did. It fucking did. Oh, it was hilarious. We couldn't stop talking about it for a while. Then we took care of like one other guy. For some reason, the guy that got tied up got his arm cut off, and he bled out to death. Our rogue character took that arm for a while. That arm is now buried in the town green somewhere, and it has not been uncovered yet. Don't ask. But after getting past all of that, we've been doing a lot more in-depth stuff, such as like legit role playing, because we hadn't done as much role playing. So I decided to make some scenarios in which role playing was a little bit more necessary to create some actual character development, and try and get my players to engage a little bit more. And it's been fun. It's been nice. Like, I'm thoroughly surprised that it's worked out so well as far as us learning the game, which means when we get into another campaign, whether it's a homebrew, a simple one, I did get Tales from the Yawning Portal. So there's a bunch of things in that are relatively quick that we can do. And then we got the Curse of Strahd, which is a long one, and then the Sea Salt Marsh one. Ghosts of the Sea Salt Marsh, I believe. And that one also is lengthy. So once I get in, if we decide to go into those, that's going to yield some pretty interesting things. And I'd really like, because I don't like the idea of there necessarily being permanent deaths. But if someone dies, like, we're not going to like throw away the character sheet or anything. We're going to try and use that character sheet for something else. If the character lives till level 20, we are thinking of making that character, basically retiring that character, and that character becomes part of the lore of a homebrew. And hoping that turns out well. That's something we've been particularly interested in, is trying to keep these characters relevant for what we want them for. You know, because I don't like the idea, like you could imagine, you know, a character becomes level 20 and is now ready to retire, and decides that they're going to run an inn or a shop in a local town for however long until they get too old, and then that's what they do. Or, you know, they become hero of the town, and then they help govern the soldiers or something like that, or they become like a head of research, yeah, or something like that. Just to keep them in lore, so that way things, things can be interesting, and we don't have to feel like characters are gone forever. Permanent deaths in D&D are extremely rare because res magic. Yeah. See, that's something that that I'm particularly interested in. I don't want it to be quite that easy. I think. I don't know. I haven't dealt with that yet, so that's gonna be one of those when we come to it, and I'd like it to be one of those things that you can get them back, but if something happens, then definitely um, definitely make it like a big issue. Someone dies, let's make it a big issue. Make it seem like they can't come back, but there is a way to get them back. Have the legend characters exploits blown out of proportion. Big fish. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I heard he took down a whole castle by himself. Like, what do you mean took down a whole castle by himself? You mean took down everyone in there? Oh no. I mean he destroyed the castle brick by brick. Isn't the castle standing right there? No, it's a different castle. Of course. Kill the dragon. Make that 5 dragons, then 10 over time. Yes, exactly. Ah, Big Fish was a good movie. I think it's underrated. Oh, yeah. That'd be a lot of fun. Just over time, it just gets more and more. It's like more people get deterred from being heroes because they're like, how the fuck am I supposed to? How am I supposed to keep up with that? 500 years later, they say he single-handedly killed 100 ancient dragons. Oh God! How am I supposed to live up to that expectation? I can only go up to level 20 in a reasonable world. Yeah, great movie. I think we have a copy still. Show it to anyone. Oh, yeah, we've been trying to learn D&D as best we can. Definitely something that we've come to really enjoy. It's become one of the highlights of our week. And we generally try to play every Tuesday night. We weren't able to play yesterday, but we'll try and play tomorrow night. And we're going to see if we can't get extra long, because like I said, we're at the end of this campaign, or getting close to it. And it's a big dungeon. And that's going to be hectic. And I'm not sure how they're going to do. I'll figure out if they start to get to a point where something's going wrong, and they're like fucking dying, like they're rolling 2s and 3s and shit. Yeah. Level 20. Then you gotta homebrew extra stuff for higher levels. I did think about that. And I was wondering, like, if you get to that point, you get to the point where your characters are level 20, then what more can you do for them? And I was thinking, well, it's like, well, couldn't they just, get stronger in general? Well, then what else? I would think, like, they become maximally proficient at level 20 at whatever path they chose, whatever class they are. And then I would think they would be able to, like, let's say they stuck with the one class the whole time. Let's say that even though your max level is 20, under normal circumstances, you're like maybe level 10 in both of them. But if we wanted to go beyond that, we can make this, level 40 by leveling up both those dual classes. We can level up both those classes, up to level 20, and then you have it, and then you have reason to make that extra say or that extra difficulty too. And I've thought about that, and we might try that. We might, in fact, we might just do it where we make a one shot where we have a character, or everyone makes a character that's like basically level 40. Also, I found that a lot of people like, especially if you start off with a with level 1 characters. There's a lot of apparently there's a lot of DMs that have a pet peeve of someone saying that they used to be a seasoned warrior, but then they got, like, I don't know, disfigured, and now they had to start all over again. It's like something like that. It's like, well, no, if they were a seasoned warrior, no, damn it, cat, why, cat, you're an asshole. Higher character points, sorcerer points, spell slots, etc., or multi-class, and over time max out stats or more. Ugh. Yeah, because most of that, aside from the extra feats and stuff, most of that you would just be adding on to your stats every time, right? Like, you would add to your base stats and your base hit points, right? And it would just keep stacking. I would think. That way you could go against, like, an actual horde of dragons instead of one dragon being fucking terrifying to go against, even at, like, fucking level 18 or some shit. You go against, like, 1,000 dragons or some shit, and, like, god damn it, gotta watch out for, like, 1,000. I hope you're ready to roll, because I got 1,000 dice to go through. No, we can take them. We can take them. It's like, what do you mean you can take them? We've been multi-classing for, like, 8 classes. Oh, god. Like, yeah, our constitution's all high enough. Even his shit constitution over there. Go beyond the max stats of 20. Go plus ultra! Oh, god. Give them legendary abilities. I still need to look into that. Actually, one of the things I'm trying to do, I have no idea what to give them. I want to give them magic items, but I don't see anything I like. And domain abilities. There are some domain abilities that we currently have as our levels, but I would assume this means, like, added stuff, like not just the standard from the classes, just like, like, alright, you chose this god from the beginning, that means you'll get these extra feats, write that down, whatever, you have toe stomp. If you're within, I don't know, 60 feet, you can stomp the toes of every enemy. They take a d4 damage and also are stunned for 1 turn, dealing with their foot, and they have to use an action to get up. They have to roll a DC 15 dexterity save, something like that, or whatever the challenge rating might be at that point. Let's see. If they have 4 hours, I'll probably cut it off. So we got about another 10 minutes. So I'll probably cut off in about 5 minutes. Or, well, overall. Over whatever. But I've enjoyed the stream. It's a little birthday episode. I'm getting married in a few days. I took a week off of work. And honestly, this has actually gotten some pretty decent playbacks and pretty decent time. So the average time's 33 minutes. That's awesome. It's fucking amazing. I can't wait till I can get more people that want to be on this. Because the first one, if you want to take a look at it, Jorgogo was on it, and that yielded some interesting results. For some reason, I hadn't tried it before. We had just tried it right then. That was the first time. So everything sounds like we're robots. So it's this weird sound. I don't know why it's like that, because otherwise it's just like there's background sound and other stuff. I don't know why it sounded like electronic interfering or whatever. Give them gimmicky stuff. It's like, oh, you know Saitama? Yeah, you're like him but weaker right now. You need like another 40 levels to be just like Saitama. Okay. It's like, you know the Unicorn Wizard? Don't worry about it. S&G? Oh, so S&G, this is basically just a... S&G stands for Shits and Giggles. Basically, this is just a whole tangent podcast. So, like, I write down a couple topics or topics of whatever my guest wants to talk about. We start with one topic. Normally, I'll start off probably by like asking, "Hey, you know, like if they're a YouTuber, you know, I'll say, oh, so you know, how's your channel? Talk to them about their channel, interview them a little bit, and then we'll go on to various other things. And the idea is that as we start talking, we just go off and off and off on tangents. It's specifically meant to be casual and unfocused to the point where we're just enjoying the conversation. And if it comes to a point where there's where we have nothing left to say, then we move on to the next solid topic. And that's what S&G is there. You know, we're here to talk about shit for shits and giggles. It's just to be able to talk openly about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Monk level 20 is almost 1 point. Really? See, I was thinking about... So I really like the Dragonborn just aesthetically. And I kind of want to make, like, nothing but Dragonborn characters. And I was thinking about making a Dragonborn monk just because it sounds so badass. But yeah, S&G. Something I hope I can keep doing with more people, and I'll bring more people on over time. Now, this is the second episode, and I haven't had anyone, but I have had more people come on. I've had a bunch of people jump on in chat, so that was fun. Yeah. I'd really like to... I was hoping that would happen today, but it didn't, unfortunately. But it's alright, it's whatever. Mainly because I just wasn't that... prepared. Because I had just decided that I wanted to do this, like... I don't know, 2 hours. Scalies. And what you guys? Come on. I blame Dragon Tales. That's what got me into dragons, and then lots of fantasy stuff after that. Dragons all over the place, man. I got like a bunch of dragon statues and well, figures. Not like figurines, but like, you know, some of them are like porcelain stuff and like that. I don't know. I just like I like dragons. Dragons are awesome. Dragons are badass. Like if I had another persona, it would likely it would likely be an anthropomorphic dragon, preferably with wings. I tried to see if I could get a thing where I was a character who could change between being a dragon and human, but at the time we couldn't think of a way. But I'm sure there's a homebrew somewhere that gives a good explanation on how to make that work. I just have to stop being lazy and find it. But I mean, it's whatever. We've been having a lot of fun. I recommend YouTube, or I recommend D&D for anyone just to try it. If I ever get to people that aren't that interested, I'll go ahead and make or print off some basic characters. They don't have to roleplay, they just have to interact. And then it'll mostly be just teaching the basic mechanics of the game. Because, I mean, I can teach how the game works with a friggin' with a D20 and a D6. I can teach someone how to play D&D with that. That's all I need. Nah! Ancient being of the void. I will, and they will forever haunt you. Are they even here? We don't fucking know. I gotta learn more lore. Alright, so I think I'm gonna cut it here. So thank you everyone for coming to watch. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to be my buddy. And always remember, you have potential. Feel free to let me know if there's any topics that you think would be interesting for me to talk about. Miscellaneous crap. See where it goes from there. Throw them in the comments below. It'll be easier for me to keep up with them as opposed to the chat. Right now it's just simple. We're gonna have like an actual official wedding probably next year. This one has more to do with the legal aspect of it, and to stop other people from annoying the piss out of us about when we're gonna get married. And it'll also be on the same day that we started dating, so we'll have that. But I gotta get going. I gotta go to bed one of these days. So everyone have a great one. I'll see you later.